Hello everyone, welcome to something I've wanted to do for a long time, but I've never had the balls to do it. I love the Call of Duty Zombies series, and I've been playing it since my childhood. However, I believe that there is something that is heavily looked over in this fantastic video game series, the music. Everybody rants on and on about what maps are the best, most fun to play, most pleasing aesthetically, what weapons are the best, yada yada yada, but no one mentions the music. So in this video, I want to give the music the spotlight this time and forget about the maps themselves, for the most part. Fair warning, before getting into all the specifics of this list, I just want to say that I am in no way qualified to make an objective examination of these songs. I'm a computer scientist, not a musician. I just know that songs sound good to my monkey brain, but I don't really have very much reason as to why. However, I did play the flute for a while, so I know some basic music stuff. If you hear any meowing in the background, I have three very nosy and noisy cats, so that's why. But without further ado, let me introduce what exactly I'll be ranking. Call of Duty Zombies has many songs throughout the years placed within their maps. I will be ranking specifically the songs that play within the maps themselves and are triggered in some way. This is what I'm defining as an Easter egg song. This can be through interacting with an object, through teddy bears, shooting something, or any other method. But they have to be in the map, and they have to be triggered in some way. I will also not be ranking all of the perk jingles, as I believe that they belong on their own tier list, which, hopefully I will make in the near future if that's something of interest. And also because I believe that they are their own entity, they're not really activated other than the buying aspect of it. And finally, I may make a follow-up to this video depending on how well this video does and just how many songs that I inevitably forget to include. I tried to make this listing as comprehensive as possible, and I'm sure that there are some Easter egg songs that you didn't even know existed. So, I'm hoping I didn't miss any, but I don't have so much hubris to think that I got them all. But the songs are going to be placed in one of 7 tiers. Now, why is there 7? This is because there's 1 tier for every note in the musical scale, A through G. Unless you're Bach, in which case there's 8 for the letter H, but comment if any music nerds actually get that reference. But anyways, the tiers are as follows. The jet gun tier, F tier, obviously. It's F tier because I'm not going to wait 2 minutes to kill 5 zombies or use a glitch that almost kills me so that I can kill 1 zombie at a time. It sucks. I hate the jet gun. Anyways, moving on. Winter's Howl tier, E tier. Sure, these songs are playable, just as the same way as the Winter Howl is technically usable, but I'm never going to choose these ones in a lineup. The Death of Orion tier, D tier. It's not good, but it's not the worst thing I've ever heard. Like if someone plays this song or gives me the Death of Orion, I'm not going to be upset. Scavenger tier, C tier. It's middle of the road, as average can be. There is great potential, but it kind of flopped. Paralyzer tier, B tier. The songs here are an absolute banger. They're not the best of the best, but they are good, and if someone plays it, you will surely enjoy them. The Wonderwaffe tier, A tier. A bold claim, but these songs are notorious, catchy, and more. You probably activate these songs every time you play the map because you can't get them out of your head. And even if you don't, you can't deny that they are a certified bop and just a very good Easter egg song. And finally, we get the Pièce de Résistance, the Thundergun tier, S tier. These songs are the tip of the top of Mount Everest. They are as elusive and hard to come by as quality day one zombie guides. I'm kidding, by the way. I love all of zombie YouTuber content, but man, the Shangri-La Easter egg tutorial still isn't right to this day. But when you think of the zombie maps that these Easter egg songs are on, you probably have them already playing in your head. Activating them is an absolute must, and they are amazing songs even without them in the context of the map that they are in. And finally, before we get started, I just want to say that I mean no harm to any YouTubers whose names are used in this video. I love all of your guys' content so much, and all of you have inspired me to make this list and to be on YouTube in general. And finally, I hope you all enjoy. Please let me know if you do enjoy in the comments. I'll try and respond to any and everybody that I can. Subscribe if you enjoyed as well. I'm hoping to get more of these tier lists and possibly even an in-depth analysis of some other zombies content, or even just any content you want to see in the future. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Now, I know I said that we were going to go ahead, but I have to give some prerequisite information. Each song will be chosen randomly and ranked from there. This is to give it as objective process as possible rather than choosing some of my favorite songs and then going to some of my least favorite or vice versa. And since no one ever gives criteria for how they rank things, I wanted to. So each song will be rated based off of 3 criteria, and each song will be given a number for each of these criterion. The amounts will then be totaled up, and they will be placed into their respective categories. This is the most objective process I can think of for a totally subjective tier list. And before unveiling the categories, I want to emphasize that I am ranking them as Easter egg songs, not as just songs, but Easter egg songs. This means how good the song will obviously be a huge emphasis, but it's not the entire score. Here's what I mean. 10 and below are S tier, 14 and below are E tier, 18 and below are D tier, 21 and below are C tier, 24 and below are B tier, 27 and below are A tier, and above 27 are the S tiers. Now, finally, the 3 criteria that get to our total score is, first, catchiness. Catchiness is how good the song is in general. This is the most important category of them all, so the rating will be out of 20 points. Emphasis on the song will be placed if the song is original or not. If it is created for zombies, it may get extra points in this or a different category, as I believe that it is deserving of more points than any sort of pre-existing song that was just thrown into the game mode. Second category is fittingness. How well does it fit into the map that it is in? Sometimes a song does not fit at all with the map, and it can completely ruin the vibe of the song because of it. This will be out of 6 points. And finally, lore significance, the smallest category. What is the underlying message of the song? This isn't the most important criteria, but it does lift some songs up when you can listen to the motifs and lyrics found within the song and think about their deeper meanings. This will only be out of 4 points. Finally, I know I said 3, but this is my tier list, not yours. A song may get an extra credit point or 2 if the activation of the song is incredibly unique, or if there is some other unique quality about it that I enjoy, and I will say what that unique quality is whenever it comes up. Most activations are through activating 3 teddy bears, bottles, or some other object, but if the song is activated in some other way, then I believe that bonus points are due, hence why this category exists. Also, in order to rank these as objectively as possible, I closed my eyes and sat and listened to each of these songs before ranking them so I can give a very serious and an as recent as possible analysis and opinion of them. Okay, I know that this is a long, 8-minute intro, and I've been holding you captive here for way too long, but here's one last thing before we get into the list that I have to say. I will not be ranking the following songs: Transit's I'ma Try It Out by Skrillex, Carry On by Avenged Sevenfold because they are removed shortly after the release, Requiem by Anton Reicha from Dreisen Racha because it is such a short and hard to rank piece, since it's an old classical piece, Reflections from Togder Toten because it is really just the Golden Pack-a-Punch theme extended and I don't have much to say about it, Revelations, the song, not the map, from Goard Crovity because it is a short 30-second piece and I don't really think it can be played in the game to my knowledge, and Damned because, well, it isn't an Easter egg song. Okay. If you really want a ranking, I'ma Try It Out gets F tier, Carry On gets high A tier, Requiem gets C tier, Reflections gets D tier, Revelations gets C tier, and Damned will not be ranked since it is literally everywhere. Okay. Finally, after all that is cleared, and after holding you hostage for nearly 10 minutes, here's the first song. Not Ready to Die by Avenged Sevenfold. What a song to start with, I just have to say. Like I said, the entire order of these songs is completely random, so crazy that we got this song first. Catchiness is a 20 out of 20. The fittingness, 5 out of 6. The lore significance, 4 out of 4. And bonus points, 1. Overall, starting the list with a grand total of 30 out of 30 S tier. Before getting back to Not Ready to Die, I want to address something pretty obvious. The song you're listening to is not Ready to Die. It is actually Alistair's theme from Black Ops 4. Now, why am I doing this? If it wasn't obvious, it's because of copyright reasons. Most of the songs you're going to listen to are going to be the songs that I'm rating. It's just certain ones that are owned by Treyarch Sound or Kevin Sherwood, like the song Not Ready to Die, since it's owned by Avenged Sevenfold, they will need to be replaced with a different zombie song that I just chose at random. This first one, like I said, is Alistair's theme, but going forward, if you're confused when the song that you are listening to is not the one I'm rating, that is most likely why. Now, firstly, the song is activated by activating 3 meteoroids found within the map Call of the Dead. Nothing very unique, but once you get that last one, you hear a very chilling, cold breeze come sweeping in before an organ-like piano sweeps you off your feet. And then the guitar comes in and the drums, and then M Shadows kicks it off from there. It was surprising hearing it the first time. This was the first time that Avenged Sevenfold played for a zombies map, and it came so out of nowhere in a map that already was filled with celebrities. But beyond that, I mean, needless to say, the song is catchy as hell. Not only can the song stand on its own and proven that it can, some of my friends know this song by Avenged Sevenfold, but don't know anything about the map it was made for, just because they like Avenged Sevenfold. It's crazy catchy. I can listen to it over and over, and it's even on my personal playlist. Great song. But beyond catchiness, it also has extremely high lore significance as well, because it describes all of the emotions and thoughts going through Ultimus Richtofen's head at this point in time. See, Call of the Dead takes place in one of the Group 935's testing facilities, specifically the one that Richtofen is stationed at. And so a lot of the lyrics center around Richtofen and Richtofen's grand scheme, his thoughts, experimentation, stuff like that. And so it has great lore significance. It describes what he believes is going to happen and so much more. It even has a callback in the middle of the song to Damned, which catches you off guard, but in a good way. It further calls back to the entire Zombies universe and gives me chills every single time hearing Damned right in the middle, and pun intended. But finally, the fittingness score is the only thing stopping it from receiving a perfect score, I have to say. Yes, the cold breeze at the beginning, the mysterious creepiness behind it, and the kick-ass beat really fit the vibe of an ice-cold tundra full of the undead, but the only thing that keeps me hesitant from giving it a perfect 6 out of 6 here is that we aren't Richtofen. Like, this is Call of the Dead we are playing. Like, yes, some of the background story of the map is Richtofen, but we're not playing as him, nor do we really care about him at the time. We are playing not as our original 4 of Ultimus, but as a guest celebrity cast. Yes, that means Avenged Sevenfold, like I said, perfectly fits since they are a guest celebrity band, but the song itself is about a character that only appears as a voice line machine behind a steel door for the Easter egg. The song isn't about the tundra, what will happen next after Call of the Dead, what is happening currently or in the past, or much into the past of the facility, if anything else. It just gives the backstory for a character who we aren't playing as. Honestly, I can see this song just as easily being in Shangri-La, or even Ascension if you removed the sound effects related to winter. But if you kept the beat and the lyrics, I could easily see this song in any of the other 2 maps, especially Shangri-La, since Shangri-La specifically relates to Richtofen's past, his experimentation, and so much more. I could even see it being on the moon, to be honest, and there's already an Avenged Sevenfold song on Moon, so it would fit right in. But it would be great foreshadowing, just as it is in Call of the Dead currently, so I don't think it's in a bad place, hence why it gets a 5 out of 6. But finally, it saves itself from not getting that perfect score through the secret lore of Call of the Dead. The Siberian facility is actually where Richtofen did a lot of his testing, as I said, so it's very fitting for this song, for the song to be in the map, since he formulated his grand scheme in this map. So, with that all said, this song deserves a 5 out of 6 in the lore significance score. I mean, in the fittingness score, sorry. That said, however, I save it, give it the perfect 30 out of 30. Why did I do that? But that's because of a single X factor that needs to be considered that I very briefly touched upon. This is an already established, very incredible, critically acclaimed metal band that sang a completely original 7-minute song about lore in a side mode in a video game. That is fucking incredible and deserves to be acknowledged that Treyarch was able to pull this off. I mean, I know Avenged Sevenfold is already allowing their songs for Black Ops 2 as a whole, but to get them to perform a completely original song for the game is something incredible, and why it sits comfortably at the top of S tier. Abracadavre. Abracadavre from Ascension gets a catchiness score of 16 out of 20, fittingness of 6 out of 6, lore significance of 4 out of 4, and an overall score of 26 out of 30. A tier. Just shy of S tier, I believe that Abracadavre is an amazing song that I could listen to often, just not on repeat. I absolutely love the little background noises and sound effects that make it so creative and effective. Plus, Elena's voice in these sections with all the riddles and the whispering behind her gives me chills every single time. It's super catchy, fun to listen to, and extremely unique. There's not another Easter egg song that really captures a feel that Abracadavre does. Personally, I believe that these parts could stand on their own in a metal song. However, I believe that the chorus is what brings the song down. It's kind of repetitive. I don't feel like I am real, and other similar lines that feel slow and kind of dragging the song down a little and taking away from the more creepier verses and rhymes. That said, the bridge of the song, the "We're the Same" portion near the end, brings me right back up, and again leaving me with a happy and yet haunting feeling once the song ends. And don't even get me started on the piano lines. They are hauntingly beautiful. They always kill it with their piano. But that's how I would describe the song. Hauntingly beautiful. I love the song. It's great, but sadly, just not all of it. Towards the middle, I get a little bored, but get launched back up into excitement by the end. It's just that middle piece that I wish was a little bit better. But beyond the catchiness itself, the fittingness and lore significance are top-notch. The little piano notes and melodies really remind me of stars in space for some reason. The little jingling feel mixed with the creepy and dark voices and lyrics reminds me perfectly of an abandoned cosmodrome for the haunting emptiness of deep space. I was actually originally going to give the lore a 2 out of 4 because of how ambiguous the lore was for the whole song, but then in the bridge, Elena says, "I'm wretched, but I'm powerful," which puts in perspective that this whole song is through Samantha's eyes. It's what she's truly feeling, thinking, etc. And since this map is the grand reveal of Samantha as an interactive character in the story, she roars and effectively tries to kill Gersh in the Easter egg. Was it Gersh? Or is it Yuri? Whatever. I don't feel like thinking. I'll know it if I think about it. We'll just say Gersh. The song really fits with the map as a whole as well. Overall, really solid song, and I could easily see belonging at the bottom of S tier if tweaked a little. But for now, it'll sit at the very top of A tier.
Maybe next time.
Where Are We Going? The original. Catchiness gets a 12 out of 20. Fittingness 6 out of 6. Lore significance 4 out of 4. Bonus point 1. Overall 23 out of 30. B tier. Now, this song gives me nostalgia. I personally believe that there are few songs that fit the map any more than the original Where Are We Going? It is haunting, mysterious, and gives a very hopeless vibe, but it is a very intensely memorable song with an extremely recognizable melody. Fittingly, Mob of the Dead as a map has the exact same feeling as the song, haunting, hopeless, but extremely fun and recognizable. Furthermore, although there are very simple lyrics, it has strong lore significance when you explore the deeper meaning behind the repetition. The song, much like the map itself, is a cycle, constantly repeating the same lyrics with more haunting melodies as the song continually perpetuates this feeling of hopelessness and sense of loss. Very depressing. It really puts into your mind where are we going? Our characters are going through the same thing with the song. Where are we going? Should we give up? Is there any hope? Etc. The song gives a perspective on what our favorite guest characters are feeling. However, this is where a lot of the compliments end. I have to look past the nostalgia. I believe that it's catchy, but like, that's it. It's catchy. The melody very much carries the song, and as I said previously, the lyrics aren't really doing anything insane or innovative. I'll absolutely listen to the song, no question, but if I played this every single game, I would get a little annoyed. But finally, what lowers the catchiness score as well is the song is just extremely short. I mean, it's just a little over 2 minutes long. I think there could be so much more. However, I will give it 1 bonus point due to how you activate the song. You have to input 9, 3, 5 in that order in the Catacombs power box while in Afterlife mode, and once you do that, the song starts playing. I think the process is extremely interesting. The code itself obviously gives strong lore implications that I believe deserves to be acknowledged. Now, with the other 2 categories, with lore significance, again, I briefly touched upon it, but describing that cycle, I think, helps with the lore and really helps with the fittingness score as well. This is really the only map that has a set loop inside of it, unless you count Shangri-La's Brock and Gary, but I digress. Because of that, and the bonus point, the song gets placed into the top of B tier. Above average, not amazing.
I am alive! Yeah!
Archangel. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. And overall, a 27 out of 30. A tier. Archangel is a wonderfully intense song. If you're a fan of metal, this is the song for you. It has some of the most intense and fast-paced drumline that I have ever heard. And it feels like I'm injecting black tar heroin into my veins and going absolutely fucking insane. Like, in a good way, I swear, but like, I feel like I'm going crazy whenever you hear the drums going off. The singers are all 3 of our main zombie singers, Elena, Maluka, and Nova. And personally, I believe that this is some of their best work. You have their beautiful voices and the best qualities of their singing voices. You have Elena's intense death screams, Maluka's haunting background melodies, and Nova's very intense and gravelly sounding accent notes that really add that extra oomph in many parts of the song. The song is a staple on my exercise playlist because it gets me very excited and hyped. How can you not with that crazy drum line? But furthermore, the song is as fitting can get. The map takes place on an active war zone in World War I France. There are literally planes still fighting in the sky above the map. And needless to say, the map is hectic, just like the song illustrates. The drums illustrate this idea of how crazy and utterly insane the map is. They're literally giant skyscraper-tall robots walking over you in a World War I battlefield. That's still going on. It's absolutely insane, and the song illustrates that perfectly. Finally, lore-wise, if you look at the lyrics, the song is incredibly deep, and similar to Where Are We Going in the fact that it has a very deep meaning, even if you don't see the lyrics as being very substantially original. The only parts that make it lose some points with catchiness is the fact that the kick-ass drumline does take away from the rest of the song. What I mean is, it's so good that it makes the rest of the song drop down. You have these fast-ass drum lines, but very slow and haunting singers. Some of it pairs together very well, especially Elena's death metal, and occasionally even Maluka's melodies, but it's just, at points, it may feel like that they complement each other very well, but for certain points in the song, it just, I don't know, something about it doesn't sit well. A breakdown here or there I feel could have done the song some good, but again, this is just from an amateur, and I'm probably just talking out of my ass. There's probably a great reason for why the song is the way it is, and if it changed at all, I'm sure I might have given it a lower score. But with that said, if I had to listen to this or Not Ready to Die, I'd listen to Not Ready to Die. and for that reason, it's going to the very top of A tier, but not quite S tier. Samantha's Lullaby, the original. Catchiness, 5 out of 20. Sittingness, 4 out of 6. Lower significance, 2 out of 4. Bonus points, 3. Overall, 14 out of 30, E tier. Now, don't raise your pitchforks, put them down. Yeah, I get it. It's Samantha's Lullaby, this is a great nostalgic song, yada yada yada. I'll start with the good, okay? Before I defend myself. Samantha's Lullaby is a great fit for the maps that it's on. And if you don't know, this song is an Easter egg song specifically on 2 maps that I know of. It's for Mob of the Dead and Nuketown Zombies. I'm going to mostly ignore Nuketown Zombies because Nuketown is just a hodgepodge thrown together, but I'll briefly touch on it. But anyways, a lot of the fittingness is going to be revolving around Mob of the Dead because there's a lot of songs and little things thrown into Nuketown just for the sake of it being Nuketown. But anyways, the song itself does revolve around the concept of death. So including the song about eternal sleep into Mob of the Dead, great choice. Great choice. And why fittingness gets a 4 out of 6 on this song. It fits the concept of not just zombies, but Mob of the Dead as a whole really well. However, Samantha's Lullaby, as many of you probably already know, is on almost every single map in some sort of way. So although it's very fitting to Mob of the Dead, it's not very original, or it's not even really made for the map. And to further emphasize this point, like I said, it was also the Easter egg song in Nuketown Zombies, though the activation was much less unique than Mob, but I'll get into Mob's activation. But because of that reason, it loses fittingness score for me. And lore-wise, it gets 2. I'd give it a 1 or even a 0, but I mean, the name itself gives strong lore implications due to its use in almost every single map. The song has become very recognizable, and now, whenever you hear it, you know that something lore significant or lore heavy is happening. I mean, it's basically a call sign for something's going down. But also hearing it, you do get chills in lots of nostalgia with just hearing that familiar song, even if it is very simple. But funnily enough, due to the many times this song is used, it did lose a point in fittingness, but gained a point in lore significance, so yeah, good for you, Samantha's Lullaby, you're at a net 0. But that said, the song itself, on its own, it's not catchy. I have to say it, okay? I find it more annoying than anything. I get it, it's a lullaby, and honestly, it's not supposed to be extremely catchy. It's supposed to be recognizable, short, and bittersweet, which I will say, it does accomplish. But honestly, I'd rather just not listen to it at all. I wouldn't say it's bad for what it is, but in comparison with all the other songs, which is what we're doing here, it's pretty bad. However, it does get 3 brownie points for having what I believe the most creative hidden song activation out of any other hidden song in the entire series. I might correct myself in the future, but as far as I'm aware right now, that's what I'm thinking. If you weren't aware though, how to activate it in Mob of the Dead is you stay in Afterlife mode at the start of the game, do not revive yourself, and just let yourself die. You effectively give up, and you get a game over. But instead of the normal game over song, the screen goes completely black and white, and the song starts playing. Samantha's Lullaby starts playing. This has huge lore implications that I feel like no one talks about, especially the fact that the entire universe that they're in goes black and white and dies, like at the end of Blood of the Dead, which I could get into for like 10-20 minutes. If anyone is interested, I would more than happy to make a video essay on that, but that's not what this video is about. However, it does make this song much cooler as a result, as I believe this alone makes it deserving of the most brownie points so far. However, it doesn't save it too much, as it really just saved it from being an F tier. So here it sits, E tier. Very unique activation, very nostalgic song, a lot of bonus points, still an E tier song.
His way into heaven. Reminds me of someone.
Mad Hatter. Catchiness, 13 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lore significance, 1 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 20 out of 30. C tier. Personally, this song doesn't scream anything spectacular to me. It's catchy and a sort of, I'll listen to it if it's on the radio kind of feeling. It does some good things with the audio that are really cool sounding and catchy, which gives it better than a straight average of 10 out of 20. But for a song called Mad Hatter, the song is quite slow and almost hypnotic. It kind of blends together to me. I still think it's a great song, especially with all the guitar riffs, but there could have been more done with it, in my opinion. I've heard what Avenged Sevenfold can do, and this just isn't my favorite, only slightly above average. And to further that point, fittingness-wise, the song is a fairly good fit, but I believe that it could fit possibly on another map. But all in all, it does fit the vibe of the map itself, and the message it sends matches that of the main antagonist, and even a bit of Scarlet's father. But lore-wise, I mean, there's none to be found. You have to really go looking for it. The song itself exists on its own, and although it kind of fits the Gladiator feel, like I was saying, there's no real lore reason behind it. The closest connection is the antagonist cult people are crazy, like the Mad Hatter, but, that's really stretching. It's not nothing, so it won't get a 0, but it's only going to receive a 1. However, I will say it does get a brownie point, because I think that the initiation process is fun. Shooting the 4 different colored coins is unique and fun to do the first couple of times, so I think it's deserving of a bonus point. Now, I know you're saying, all 4 of the coins is basically how you activate it on every single Chaos map, but it was the first map that I did it on, and I'm biased, I'm the one making the list, so sue me. It gets a bonus point. So, it's solidly an C tier. The bonus point doesn't really help, so if you don't like it, take it away. It doesn't really change its placing much. It's the thought that counts.
Swords aren't my thing, but I'll give this baby a few slices.
Classified's intro song, or Classified Swing, or this Jazz is Classified, whatever they want to call it. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 1 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 25 out of 30. B tier. Classified intro, in my opinion, is a certified banger. Now hold on. Let's back up a little bit. This is about Easter egg songs, not intro songs. So why is this on this list? Well, not a lot of people know this. This is an Easter egg song on Classified. I believe Shockwave is the main Easter egg song for Classified, but this is a second Easter egg song. You can actually activate it. There are 5 terminals in the War Room that you can activate, and it'll activate the song. I would give it bonus point because of its activation, but that's not the reason for the bonus point. I think the activation is kind of annoying because you have to activate 5 different monitors in a completely arbitrary chosen order. I don't think it's that unique. I don't think it's that crazy, so that's not the bonus point if you're thinking that. Anyways, I am a huge sucker for jazz, so I think that I am horribly biased when it comes to this song, and if it were completely subjective, I'd give this song a 20 out of 20. I have this song on my playlist. I love this song, but I'm aware of its flaws, and I'm also aware that jazz isn't for everyone. It isn't a perfect song by any means, I know, and nor is it that particularly long, but I still think that it's one of the best hidden songs in Black Ops 4. And that's not really saying much because it's Black Ops 4, but we'll get into that later. Beyond the catchiness of the song, I think that the song itself fits the aesthetic of the map so incredibly perfect. The jazz fits the time period of the map greatly. It has an incredibly wacky, almost cartoonish vibe to it, which perfectly matches our crew. This map is the reintroduction of our cartoonish Ultimus character cast. So having this cartoonish intro song, perfect. Speaking of our crew, Ultimus is back. Hey, let's go. And this song fits them perfectly as an opening theme. Like I said, it shows them back into the spotlight. However, this is where the compliments end, because as far as I can tell, there is little to no lore significance. The song was made for the intro, that's all, really. And while this trailer is lore heavy, the song isn't the trailer. We aren't ranking the trailers and intros here. Maybe I'll do that later, but that's not what we're doing, so I can't give it a higher score. There are also no familiar motifs or rhythms in the song to my knowledge, and is nothing more, story-wise, than a very catchy jazz anthem. However, in case I missed something, I give it a single point, because the cutscene it's paired with was very significant. It shows us how our characters got here, what happened after Moon, what Samantha is doing, what happened to the Pentagon tape. All of these things are shown in the intro, and maybe parts of the intro song do hint at this, or even hint back to 5. I just couldn't pick out any, but I wouldn't be surprised if there is, hence why I gave it a bonus point. But again, we're rating the music, not the videos it's paired with, so take the bonus point with a grain of salt. Regardless, I still think it deserves mentioning, and overall, I think it deserves a very solid spot at the bottom of A tier.
It's the River of Sorrows. Sounds about right. My adversary.
Stormbound from Ancient Evil. Catchiness, 8 out of 20. Fittingness, 2 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Overall, 10 out of 30. F tier. Our first F tier. I'll be honest, I haven't listened to Stormbound before this, because I didn't play a lot of Black Ops 4 near the end of its cycle, and I especially didn't really care about its Easter egg songs. And to be completely honest with you, I think a lot of it is a shit game. I'm gonna be real. A lot of people say that it's a hidden gem, and while I will say I do enjoy Black Ops 4 when I want a good Easter egg, I don't think Black Ops 4 is really as good as many people give credence for. That's it. Ancient Evil is a great map. I'm talking about Black Ops 4 as a whole. Ancient Evil, great map. That's the map that the song is on. It's just a shame that this song is ass. But I gave my first listen to this song for this list with great expectations. It's a new Easter egg song. I love Easter egg songs. I didn't actually know about this song until making this tier list, and I thought I was super excited. And it's mediocre at best. It's not great. I think that the map itself, like I said, is much better than the song, and personally, I just don't like it. I think this is the first song on the list that I can firmly say is just not good, at least in my opinion. Again, if you like it, that's fine. I just really don't. It's very repetitive. It blends together like no other song, has a long-ass intro, and there doesn't seem to be anything very special about the song. The most hype part about the song is at the very end, with this very final verse, which had a small breakdown. But that was the only real noteworthy moment. I don't really think this is Kevin and Nova's best work, and honestly, halfway through the song, I was just waiting for it to end. It kind of just lost my attention. I kind of spaced out while listening to it, which hasn't really happened with any of the other songs. Minus, I think, one. Compared to other songs Clark has made for zombies, including Carry On and We All Fall Down, the song just doesn't hold up. Furthermore, into the other scores, there is no lore significance that I can find in the song. What does the storm have to do with Ancient Evil? What is Stormbound? I might just not know much about Chaos's lore, and I might amend this position in its list if I find out more, or if anyone in the comments can find anything, but I can't really think of anything that fits the map. That fits the lore of the map. I can't, there's nothing. And finally, does it fit the map? Not Not really. I mean, there doesn't really seem to be any part of it that screamed ancient evil for me. Honestly, if I just heard the song, which, when I initially gave it a listen, I didn't know what map it was on. I just had a playlist of all the Easter egg songs. I thought this was the Easter egg song for Voyage of Despair. Like, that's how bad it is. For some reason, I thought it was for Voyage or even a different map, not for Ancient Evil. But, then I listened to Drowning, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's Voyage of Despair. But anyways, the only thing that really saves it for the fittingness score is the chorus, as it rises up the depressive feeling and apprehension with feelings of triumph when it comes to the stormbound part, which does really show the feeling of this abandoned Greek ancient city. Yeah, that triumph feeling, I wish they really leaned into with this song, but they just didn't. And with that, we have our first F tier song. Nothing against Kevin Sherwood. Like I said, I love his works, but the song just wasn't for me, man. Mystery. Catchiness, 16 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Overall, 24 out of 30. B tier. Oh boy, another Black Ops 4 song. Thankfully, much, much better than the previous one. And I will say, compared to Stormbound, this song might be a 30 out of 30. I think this might be some of the best music that Black Ops 4 has to offer. However, on its own, I don't think the song is nearly as perfect as a 30 out of 30. I will say that it is an above average banger. It has an amazing shuffle rhythm, has amazing references, and even cooler wordplay between the lyrics. The lyrics themselves even have a very, very simple yet effective conversational pattern to it. It's I forget what it's called. It's like a question and response, something like that. There's a term for it in music, but it's the call and response. That's what it is. There's a call that Elena makes, and then a response to herself, and it just has this great, almost disorienting rhythm, but it fits well with the theme of the song being mystery. It's very simple yet effective, and it really complements the fast and complexity of both the map and the lyrics themselves. Again, I don't think that it's as good as some of the other songs listed, but it is a pretty good standalone song. The only reason why it doesn't score any higher is because it's just, well, pretty good song, 16 out of 20. I mean, that's a great song, but it doesn't do anything particularly memorable. There isn't a significant breakdown, but it does have a wonderful harmonizing and rhythms. In short, ironically, Mystery has a rather predictable melody once you listen to that first stanza, phrase, area, riff. I don't fucking know. I'm not a professional musician. That first section of the song, you really understand how the song's going to play out. And when it comes to fittingness, it gets perfect, 6 out of 6. I mean, the lyrics alone describe the map greatly, but with the beat paired with the lyrics, it fits wonderfully with the theme of mystery that Dead of the Night is really trying to portray. It's very, very fitting. Honestly, not much more to say when it comes to the fittingness score. I mean, yeah, it's a mystery. The map's Dead of the Night. It might as well be fucking Clue. It fits. Now, when it comes to the lore significance, I give it a 3. It isn't super complex in the lore, but it does have some very interesting subtext involving murderer, what the mystery is, how the undead came to be, and more. I mean, if you look into the deeper meaning of the lyrics, there is some interesting portions in the song, but it's not, it's not all there. Hence why it's a 3 out of 4.
Yes. The teleporter on the roof will take you.
Lost from Firebase Z. Catchiness, 12 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lower significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 21 out of 30. C tier. Our first Cold War song. And personally, I think it's a very average song. or very, very slightly above average. I think a lot of people give this song slack, and I think it's mostly because it was written by Craig Houston, but I think he did an amazing job considering music isn't his main career. But that said, let's talk about the negatives first to change things up. It isn't doing anything very super spectacular, and although it is catchy, it isn't particularly amazing. It sounds a little awkward and all over the place throughout the song. The instruments come in at slightly weird times, and the dubstep backtrack and the lyrics sometimes fit into place awkwardly. Yet, despite that, the song somehow still works, and I can't really fathom how. It shouldn't work, but it does. And honestly, I love this song more than I should because of it. On paper, it shouldn't be that great. For the previously mentioned reasons in previous songs, it's shorter, it's slower, it's more hypnotic, but I like this song, and its weirdly offbeat moments honestly fit the vibe of the map perfectly, and although it causes it to lose points in catchiness, it gains points in both fittingness and lore significance. The song honestly perfectly shows why the two other categories are in this list, because on its own, the song might get a D tier, but the lore significance behind it is what makes me love the song more, and what kicks it up to C tier for me. Now, this might be more of a gripe with Fire by Z as a map, but the only reason this song loses a point in fittingness is because we don't play in the Dark Ether, like, at all in this. This song sounds like the Dark Ether, in my opinion. I wish that we got to go into the Dark Ether, and I wish they kept up that gimmick from the first map, but it just, I don't know why they made that decision. It only takes away from Fire by Z and, in my opinion, all the other maps as well. But regardless, I get that is the point of the map, but the song is about the Dark Ether. Dark Ether is found. Moving on. However, the song fits perfectly into the map's story. The map revolves around saving Samantha from the Dark Ether, and the song is showing the player what she's going through while they are trying to rescue her. It talks about her thoughts, her strives, her motivations. It's very fitting, and it gives a very unsettling image for the players. And finally, it gets a perfect score for the lore significance. I mean, as I just stated, it's through Samantha's eyes while trapped in the Dark Ether. You can hear her slowly losing her sanity in the song, but also gaining power and realization, which I find incredible. Samantha's place in the map makes it a great lore significance, and a very solid fittingness score for Fire by Z, considering it revolves around her.
A drink that requires a mature parrot. I found a piece of the meteor. Nice timing. I found the last piece.
Here we go. 115. Catchiness, 20 out of 20. Duh. Fittingness, 4 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 29 out of 30. S tier. I mean, come on. It's 115. It's the ultimate classic. No one should be surprised it's an S tier. When you clicked on this video, you knew it would be an S tier. Don't act surprised. When I hear this song, I think of playing zombies. I didn't even start playing zombies with King Nuketown. I started in World at War with Doris and Chino, all those. But it's a no-brainer why this song was a 20 out of 20 for catchiness. It's Zombies' anthem if Damned didn't exist. I can listen to this song over and over on repeat, and I do. It's on my normal playlist, and it's one of my most played songs. Just the guitar and drums are incredibly catchy and recognizable. Just that first guitar hit at the beginning of the song, oh, it's like a hit of drugs. I mean, it gets you going. And then the lyrics are introduced, and it has this great back and forth. It's, again, like in Mystery, it's a conversation, but instead of Elena with herself, it's like an angel and a demon conversing with each other. There are these demonic, harsh backup vocals, and this very angelic, soft main melody that creates an interesting harmony of sounds that you would think sound dissonant, but it's harmonious, it's beautiful, and it creates a very interesting sounding metal masterpiece that I think it can easily stand on its own. It could play on the radio, and I don't think anyone would bat an eye. People would just be like, what the hell is 115? But it's a great song. And when it comes to lore, it gives a perfect 4 out of 4 too. I mean, we are getting a song through the zombie's eyes for one of the first times. We learn about 115, and there are even more interesting ideas being played around in the subtext of the lyrics. There's even some foreshadowing involved on the lyric, which not a lot of songs do. However, there is almost no reason for it to have to be on Kino. I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, I know, but when I think of an intense zombies experience full of hardcore and unpredictable areas and complicated corridors, I do not think of Kino. Kino is one of, if not the least intense zombie map out there, and it can be pretty boring after a short while if you're looking for a challenge. It doesn't really fit the vibe of this fast-paced song. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be on this map, as I think it's fine where it's at, hence the 3 out of 6 score. But ignoring nostalgia, I could see this song on Doris, on Call of the Dead, and I could even see it on Moon and fitting more, as they all have significant connections to 115, way more than Kino Draconian does. Doris is literally like the origin of 115. Call of the Dead is a mining facility for 115. The moon is the fucking moon. But Kino is just a testing facility and a theater. Even Verupt is more unique in its setting. But that's not the bag on Kino. Kino's a great map, great setting. It just, when it comes to fitting with the song, I don't think it really fits, to be honest. Regardless, I mean, the song is an easy S, and if you think otherwise, you're just trying to be edgy and you're lying to yourself. And to make up for the lack of the fittingness score, because I don't feel right, I'm giving it a bonus point. Because let's be honest with ourselves, is there a more iconic Easter egg song in zombies? When you think of zombies music, you think of one of 3 things. Damned, which isn't an Easter egg song. Maybe Samantha's Lullaby if you're a nerd, and then 115. Because of how truly iconic this song is, it deserves the bonus point. Even still, 115 gets placed slightly below Not Ready to Die. If we're going purely off of catchiness, I think I'd listen to 115 more often than Not Ready to Die, but when thinking about all of the factors that goes into being a good zombies Easter egg song, in particular, 115 is ever so slightly below Not Ready to Die.
That sounds a little more ominous than I expected.
Dead Again, Der Eisendrache. Catchiness, 19 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 27 out of 30. A tier. Not as catchy as 115, but I think it could honestly run very close to it. I think this song is often overlooked, which is a shame because I think that it is a great song for a one-of-a-kind map. Der Eisendrache is an S-tier map, and with it comes an S-tier catchiness sort of song. And honestly, that could be said for pretty much all of Black Ops 3. We're starting our ranking of Black Ops 3 music here, and Black Ops 3's songs are so consistently good. We'll get into that more as we go along, but starting with Dead Again, beyond just general great rhythm and lyrics, it has a fantastic breakdown, something that not even 115 can bolster. And it offers the same demonic, angelic conversation that 115 utilizes. It's like a longer, more fleshed out 115. Now, does that make it better? In my opinion, no. I mean, it feels as if it builds off of many of the ideas it introduced, which I find fantastic and fitting that it is coming right after 115 in the ranking. But I don't think it really elevates it. I think 115 did it perfectly and won. I don't think there's no need to build onto it. But even though it did, it didn't really do badly, I'll be honest. Now, as for the map itself, it fits very nicely for it. I think it did something that 115 didn't, and very much fit the map. It serves to set up our current storyline objective, which is killing our 1.0 versions of our characters, causing them to be quote-unquote dead again. It fits nicely for the story of the map, and even gives very nice little snippets of information through the zombie's eyes, which also gives a nice tidbit of lore similar to how 115 did. Nothing too big lore-wise, but more than many other songs, and so I think it deserves the score it gets. And so, while I don't think it's as catchy as 115, it builds off of the ideas very creatively to make a song that fit both the map and the story very well, even if could have had a little bit more sprinkled in. Snakeskin Boots, Shadows of Evil. Catchiness, 20 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 28 out of 30. S tier. When I first made this list, I thought long about who would be at the bottom and who would be at the top. The bottom I was always unsure about, but for the top there were some champions. Some expected, some unexpected. This was kind of unexpected. But the more I thought about it and the more I listened to it, the less I could deny that Snakeskin Boots is an absolute masterpiece. I am a sucker for jazz. With the incredible beats, instrumentals, lyrics, it all comes together to make a beautiful song. That is all I have to say about the catchiness, really, because there's not much else to say. The song is something you want to dance to. It is great. But beyond the catchiness, lore-wise, it's an okay fit. It's a great lyric to describe the lore is the following. Something strange from far beyond is haunting all my dreams. It gives an amazing introduction to the ideas of the Shadow Man, the Apothecons, and even the 4 characters of our map, and so much more, but only if you really start to dig into some of the deeper meaning behind the lyrics. And because of that digging, I don't really think it deserves more than a 2, since it could be argued that that isn't what it's talking about. I could just be reading too much into it. But, of course, the song fits perfectly. I mean, I don't have to really explain that. I could not imagine this song on any other map. It fits that chaotic 1930s, 1920s field so perfectly. Going through every other map in the storyline, I could not think of a better fit by miles. And because of that, I think that this deserves its S tier and its spot on this list. Alone, D-Machine, or D-Machina. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 26 out of 30. A tier. I'm usually not a big fan of electronic sounds in music. It reminds me too much of hardcore dubstep, which I can appreciate, but it isn't typically my choice of music. But, that said, the song does it amazingly. It doesn't go over the top with it. It pairs well with the instruments that currently exist, and the vocals by Nova are amazing. Personally, I think that it is one of, if not the best song that Nova has put out. It's an absolute banger, and in my opinion, Nova is usually one of the weaker singers on the Easter egg songs. I think that this is one of his best works, and I could not imagine either Maluka or Elena singing this song. Nova fit it perfectly. It's a great introduction to the Cold War story, and although it is a great song, I feel like it misses something in it. It might just be because it is a rather long song, but it loses a couple of points with me for some reason. I can't really describe it well, but there's just something about it that I don't think makes it a perfect song. I know that's not a good explanation, but it doesn't feel right to give it a perfect or near perfect score in catchiness when, in my opinion, it's not quite there. Again, not a music expert, probably can't explain why, it's just, there's something about it. It does make up for that in fittingness, however. For some reason, the electronic vibrations of the song fit perfectly with the ideas of the Dark Ether. And when I hear this song, I immediately think of D Machina and the Dark Ether with those jellyfish just vibing in the air. Great, great fittingness. And for lore, I mean, 2 out of 4, not really much to say there. I mean, alone really describes the feeling of the Dark Ether very well when it comes to those lyrics, but the actual feeling of the song, the motifs, and honestly, not a lot of the lyrics really show much about the lore besides, hey, alone in the Dark Ether. That's it. I mean, that's it. And that's why this gets a 2 out of 4. A tier. It deserves it. WTF. Or what the fuck? Catchiness. 10 out of 20. Fittingness. 6 out of 6. Lore significance. 0 out of 4. Bonus point. 2. Overall. 18 out of 30. D tier. So, most of you probably don't know this song. You're probably wondering, what the hell is this song? What am I talking about? But this was the hidden song for Nuketown in both Black Ops 1 and World at War. This is the song activated by knifing a radio in World at War. The song is a very simple yet effective guitar riff. It is very recognizable and interesting if you've heard it, but it's, very simplistic. Although Kevin is shredding on that guitar and there's nothing overly spectacular about it, plus it's very short. However, it does still manage to hold my attention throughout the entire song. So for that, I give it ever so slightly above average catchiness. Now, it may seem like a shock, but I think that this song is a perfect match for the map. It's a very simple, recognizable, short, and fun. It catches the feeling of Nuketown perfectly. I played Noct for a laid-back, simple game of zombies, and this song captures that feeling perfectly. Now, of course, I have to address it. The lore, I can't really give any points, because Noct didn't have any. Neither did this song. I will give it a bonus point for the fact that it tried to do something unique. The song is different and is activated through unconventional means. And it'll also get bonus points because although Lullaby of the Dead Man is commonly attributed as the first Easter egg song, technically speaking, this song is. And it deserves a bonus point for that. So with that, get our first D tier.
Summon target.
Okay. We're going to speed through this one. I can't really play anything in the background for this one. Just like some of the other ones, I'll put probably like Damned or something in the background, but like, the less we talk about this song, the better. I don't want to get in trouble. Ace of Spades. Go Rod Kroby. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 4 out of 6. Lore significance, 0. Duh. Overall, 22 out of 30. B tier. Now, I have to say right off the bat, there's no lore significance. Obviously, that shouldn't surprise anyone. Unless you think Nikolai is listening to a Motorhead song, is that being like a big revelation in the lore, there's no lore points to gather. And furthermore, there are no bonus points. Duh. Even if you activate a literal Ace of Spades, it's still just a grab 3 objects Easter egg that most other hidden songs are activated through. But enough bagging on me on the song. Enough bagging on the song. Riding dragons and killing giant mechs with hordes of zombies around while this song playing in the background is literally kick-ass and is so fitting to the map. We are literally fighting in Stalingrad on fire with big-ass lasers and Ace of Spades playing. B tier. Enough said. Let's move on.
Activate 4 symbols. What happens then? The artifacts are gone. What now? Why couldn't I have had a normal father? There were symbols like this in Dad's litter. Maybe Sean knows what they mean.
Drowning. Voyage of Despair. Catchiness, 6 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 16 out of 30. D tier. This is one of the rare songs where the fittingness and the lore score carry the rating for this song. Obviously, the song named Drowning is perfect for Voyage of Despair. I mean, you're literally fucking drowning in the song. I mean, it fits perfectly. And the underlying tones of sorrow and mystery do fit the map and the story as a whole. It's perfect. And it has some lore implications in the background that does give you some hints at the story going forward. So it does do very well in both categories. But I'm done with the compliments. This song makes me fall asleep. I don't like it. I hate Voyage of Despair's map. I think it is one of the worst maps in Zombies. There's a lot on it. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of things. It's just as a map to play, it's not fun. But enough about the map. The song isn't helping the map either, though. I'm just not a big fan of it. And if you like it, that's fine. But I don't think you can put it higher than a C or a D tier. And for me, in my rating system, it would belong in E. Maybe even F if I didn't acknowledge its fittingness and lore. But luckily for the song, both categories exist for my scoring. So with that, it gets its score of a 16 out of 30, D tier.
The robot patrols the site. It allows nothing to leave.
Shepherd of Fire. Catchiness, 16 out of 20. Fittingness, 4 out of 6. Lore significance, 1 out of 4. Overall, 20 out of 30. C tier. Oh, Origins. Shepherd of Fire is a great Avenged Sevenfold song, and it does really fit the kick-ass introduction of our Primus crew. But for Origins as a whole, it isn't anything particularly spectacular. First, I should say the song itself. Obviously, it's a great song. I mean, 16 out of 20, it's a great song. Avenged Sevenfold, a great band. This is one of their better songs. And great vibe and everything like that. But for the map itself, I mean, it doesn't get too many points of fittingness beyond the middle of the road 3 or 4. Because, you know, it's still just an Avenged Sevenfold song. I mean, it doesn't do anything spectacular for the map. And obviously, it doesn't really have any low points beyond a single one due to the fact that you could make the big stretch that Dr. Monty or someone else could be the Shepherd of Fire in the context of the song. But again, I am stretching to give this song a point. That said, you know, I have to admit, the song is catchy as hell, like I said. And honestly, what more matters? When you're killing zombies and you're hanging around in the middle shooting things with your ice staff, I mean, like, what else do you care about other than Shepherd of Fire it's playing? I don't care much for the song beyond it, but, you know, it does what it does well. So C tier it goes. We All Fall Down. Die Rise. Catchiness, 12 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 20 out of 30. C tier. Unlike Alone, this is definitely not my favorite Nova song, but it's definitely far from my least favorite. It's in a comfortable middle ground. Definitely hits the vibe of Die Rise well, as, you know, everyone falls down. Again. And again. And again. But much like the gameplay, the song gets repetitive quickly. The chorus is literally Nova saying we all fall down 4 times in a row. I know, because I counted. And this chorus gets played a lot. However, that said, it doesn't take away from the song too much, and it is still a fairly catchy song. The parts between the chorus are hype and do a good job of building up to the chorus. But by the second time the chorus plays, I'm already tired of it. The song does have a good ending, I will say, but where it loses more points is that the lore significance doesn't really say anything that Carry On doesn't already say. Well, we are zombies. We are dying. The world is dead. Like, Carry On already said all that. Nothing really changed there. And so I can't give it too much more. So 20 out of 30, C tier.
Just remember, water with 115 is not for drinking. Water with 115 is not for drinking. Water with 115 is not for drinking.
Dead Flowers, Zetsubo no Shima. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 28 out of 30. Finally, we go back to a song that's going to take me a little bit to describe. Dead Flowers is a song that is slept on in the zombies community only because of the map it's on and how slow the song initially seems. First off, I have to say that I personally think Zetsubo no Shima is the best map on Black Ops 3, and I will fight anyone who says I'm wrong. It gets shit on way too much. I think it is a great, very unique map that did a lot well. But anyways, moving on from that, even though I could talk about it, honestly, just let me know. I could also make a video just on Zetsubo no Shima and how great it is. I'd love to set the glitchy day 1 release, but I don't know. Video for another time if anyone's curious. The song, however, back to On Track, is like eye candy, but, you know, for the ears. So I guess ear candy, whatever. Even just the first note that Maluka hits in the song is amazing and sets the tone very well. If you listen to the Easter egg song from Buried, Always Running, which is also sung by Maluka, it gives off the same vibe, but in my opinion, more advanced. I will say, however, 5 minutes for the song is a little long, and it can seem to drag on for a little if you listen to it on repeat, which I do think takes away from it a little bit, but not a lot. But unlike its Dead song counterpart from BO3, Dead Again, which we already covered, Dead Flowers fits its map perfectly. The map is all about flowers. I mean, it is literally the entire planting system that everyone knows about ZNS is why a lot of people hate it. It's the entire thing, the entire theme of the map centers around flowers and plants. The song itself is also dark and gloomy, just like the map. It's also hypnotic, just like the map. And it describes the themes of Zetsubo no Shima perfectly in its lyrics. I would argue that it fits its map better than almost any other song, except for, you know, maybe like Snakeskin Boots. But it's not just the lyrics that fit perfectly, it's even the sounds of the instrument. Everything sounds so dark and hypnotic and depressing and almost dissonant, but in a melodic, hypnotic way. It's very unique in what it does. And finally, from a lore perspective, it has a lot to say. It's why the song is so long. But it does have very meaningful information to share. It's not just a bunch of fluff. It describes not just the map and not just the zombies as a whole, but also our crew. It has a lot of subtext in the lyrics, and if you read them closely, it talks about the doomed cyclical nature of our crew, the rotten core of all of it, and the despair of living in this cycle, and so much more. It discusses the topic that Dead Again brought up very briefly and furthers it by focusing not on the intensity of killing zombies and trying again, but rather the raw despair and confusing cosmic horror that comes with what they're trying to do, what their goal is, what their mission is, which is literally fighting against gods. How despairing can that be? And I love that this song touches on that. Coming Home, Moon. Catchiness, 15 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 25 out of 30, A tier. Now, I know, this is a big risk. But again, it's a random order. But the fact that I have two very controversial ratings next to each other is gonna be something. But a lot of people think that this song is like a D tier song. And I think this is gonna be a controversial take, but I think Coming Home is a really good song. If you don't like scream or death metal, I completely understand. And I also don't even think that Elena screaming the song is as good as like 115, for instance. But it still sounds good and fits the vibe that the song is going for. It's very short, which I think fits the song well as it says its message and leaves. And there are some rough moments in the song, yes, but I think it saves with parts that Elena comes back and sings with a very beautiful voice. The song resolves into this nice back and forth between the singer and the monster, representing both sides of Samantha fighting within her, much like it's done before with like 115. It's very beautiful sounding, very poetic as a whole. As I'm sure from me talking about Samantha, you can guess that this song gets a perfect 4 out of 4 on lore significance. Very similar to Lost from Cold War, it allows us to peek into Samantha's mind and see what she's going through, while also dropping bits of lore that we know about, such as Kill Them All from her father. Very interesting stuff and leads to the fittingness of the map as well. This is literally the place that Max has said to kill them all to his daughter. This is the place that all of the horror started for Samantha, and Samantha's hopes that it will end because all she wants to do is make her father proud and come home. She repeats this at the end, that she's coming home, and that's because it is all she wants to do. And even at the end, the final lyric, she screams, "I'm coming home," because it's not really a question, it's not asking, it's a statement. She wants this to end. She is coming home. Because at the end of the day, she is a little lost girl. Finally, thematically, it fits the moon well. I mean, the instruments are very deep and hollow in the background, and it emphasizes the chaos of being on the literal moon. And literally being teleported back and forth between the moon and the earth is actually chaos. So even the background music to the lyrics fits very well to Moon's themes and environment. Overall, just a great sounding song. Very fitting Easter egg song. A tier.
To your brain.
Carry On. Transit. Catchiness, 9 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Overall, 18 out of 30. C tier. Not to be confused with Carry On by Avenged Sevenfold. One word, Carry On, is by Clark S. Nova. And Carry On is like Transit. I mean, it's one of the songs of all time. It's okay. It's very middle of the road in catchiness. It starts off well and then just gets steadily worse, in my opinion. Not much else to say. It's just stale. Only a 9 out of 20. Very slightly below 50%. And something I guess I will say which gave it a little nudge in the lore significance is that I do enjoy the callback to previous zombie songs in the lyrics. There are references to 115, The One, Lullaby of a Dead Man, and I think more in the lyrics. And it's very clever. Deserves an extra point in lore significance for the references alone. But that said, lore-wise, it doesn't do more besides, hey, there are zombies, we need to fight them. Nothing real original there. However, as for fittingness of the map, it works. I mean, if Transit literally carries on and on and on and on, and if I run to the bank and get my perks and everything, it can take 20 minutes to get set up without killing a single zombie. But Transit is repetitive and slow. You get the picture, and so is the song. You boot up Transit, excited, hopeful. You hear the dead Lullaby of a Dead Man remix intro song, and you're like, all right, let's play some Transit, build your turbine. But halfway in, you're exhausted, and you're debating on already finishing, and you haven't even finished round 1. That's basically how the song feels. However, there's just, something about the song that screams Transit to me. When I hear it, I can hear the bus horn, and I can picture the bus, the fog, and everything. I can't place it, but there's something about it. Maybe it's the constant references to night, the undead, running, etc. But regardless, it fits very well to me and deserves a 6 out of 6 for Transit. Lullaby of a Dead Man, Verrucht. Catchiness, 19 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 28 out of 30. S tier. Lullaby of Dead Man is one of, if not my most favorite slow song in all of Zombies. I think it checks all of the boxes, and I will sing this song constantly. I don't think it's better than some of the greats, obviously, but to me, this is absolutely S tier. And if I just want to listen to a song that isn't too long, is catchy, and I want to sing and jam out to, this song is definitely in my queue and is in my playlist. It fits the lullaby theme perfectly, but elevating it to a point that doesn't make me want to fall asleep. It makes me want to jam out. The instruments slap and definitely give strong, classic zombie vibes. And most important of all, Elena's singing is absolutely beautiful in this, to the point of being hypnotic, but in a good way. And going back to that strong classic zombie vibe I was talking about, I mean, the song literally builds off of that original Game Over song, giving you already a sense of nostalgia, even though that this is the second map to ever exist. And I do know that it isn't the most complicated song possible, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But in case it is a bad thing for you, I took off the point for catchiness, so, you're welcome, I guess. But both lore and fittingness get the max points, -1, for a reason. The song fits Nazi zombies to a T. It is quintessential Nazi zombies music, in my opinion, and is only out-zombified by 115, and I think the ranking reflects that well. However, it doesn't necessarily scream Verrucht specifically. The lullaby nature does remind me of Asylum in a weird way. The sleepy, hypnotic, almost captive feeling the song gives fits in Asylum very well, but I could also see this song in Nocturne Toten, or even Shino Nu. Less of the latter, but you get the point. But for Nazi Zombie song, it fits the mode very, very well, and the map very well, hence the 5 out of 6. But just not a perfect score. Lore, however, is in a very similar manner, a 3 out of 4, because, well, it introduces us to the idea of a zombie controller. It gives us their motivations. It tells us that they control them, they want you to die, and that they know that you will struggle. It's an incredible introduction to this concept, but it isn't more than a 3 because it doesn't do much else than introduce this idea in our head of maybe there is a deeper meaning behind the undead. Maybe there is a controller. It's very interesting, but lore-wise, not much else. And finally, I had to give it a bonus point, because it is literally the first original Easter egg song in Call of Duty Zombies. Noct may have had WTF on the radio, but even then it was kind of an Easter egg song, and I believe was also used in the campaign. So it's not very original, it's also not a lyrical song, and Lullaby of the Dead Man is much more iconic and memorable, and a lot of people, myself included, their first Easter egg song. It deserves that bonus point. And since Lullaby is a very fully fleshed out song sung by Elena, played by Kevin for the first time, it's a masterpiece, and there's no less than an S tier. Samantha's Sorrow, Gorod Kirby. Catchiness, 9 out of 20. Fittingness, 0 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 11 out of 30. D tier. In case you didn't know this song existed, this song takes place in Gorod Kirby after completing the Samantha doll Easter egg, and I believe is actually the default Samantha doll Easter egg completion song for most of the Zombie Chronicles maps. It's a very interesting piece, but doesn't really remind me at all of Samantha's Lullaby, and it's kind of a mediocre OST. It's very run-of-the-mill and doesn't do anything special. I didn't feel myself really missing out on anything when I found out that the song existed, and I feel really bad putting it this low, but fittingness-wise, it just doesn't scream Gorod Krovi. Samantha doesn't really exist in this dimension, and she isn't really a strong force in this version of the universe, so I don't really understand her placement in this dimension, and by extension, the placement of this song. And because of that, and a couple other reasons, I can't give this song any points in fittingness, as it would feel so much better in a plethora of maps other than this one. And building off of that, why is Samantha sorrowful? And why specifically in Gorod is she sorrowful to begin with? A lot of things just don't really make sense about it, so I couldn't give it any points. I gave the lore section, though, however, to make up for this, a 2, because the song's placement does raise some questions in the lore. Granted, we don't get any answers to these questions, but it does raise questions like, is Samantha here? What is she doing here? Why is she sorrowful? Stuff like that. And also, hearing that Samantha is sorrowful gives very basic lore implications, nothing too deep, but I give it a 2 out of 4 for this reason. Therefore, this song lands overall in a very low D tier below even the original Samantha's Lullaby, regretfully, but I think it warrants that placement.
We are so close.
Dead Ended, Gorod Krovi. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 27 out of 30. A tier.
I'm sensing a theme with the Black Ops 3 music.
I touched upon it earlier, but it's really showing itself here. 27s across the board so far, minus Shadows, which, got a higher score. And I think it really reflects the idea that all of these songs are very close and could be interchangeable in position in A or S tier. Personally, I think the song is below Dead Again and Dead Flowers, but I could see it moved anywhere in A or S tier around the other two. I mean, Lex's favorite map's Easter egg song, Dead Ending, is the best Nova song, period, in my opinion. His skills really came through, and the undead voice he does in the background is incredible, and I wish he leaned into it more. Same with his screams in the background towards the end of the song. It reminds me of his best parts in We All Fall Down. It's truly a great song, but I do think less catchy than the other two. Only very slightly, and again, in my opinion. It's very profound. I love listening to it. Great song. Fits the map perfectly, but we'll get into that. When it comes to fittingness, ZNS is very similar to how this map does. It's very fitting. The hard metal mixed with the picturesque scene it paints, the hard metal mixed with the picturesque scene paints an image of fire, iron, and blood, which fits Gorod perfectly and is the perfect foil to Zetsubo no Shiba's melancholy, whereas Dead Flowers portrays this image of methodical, slow, hypnotic despair and hypnosis in general. Dead Ended and Gorod Krovi paints this image of anger and bloodshed and fire, and it almost gives the exact same message as ZNS, but in the opposite direction. It's very clever, very interesting, and again, advances the thought process of despair and pushes it into anger. Really spills that idea of hatred that is happening, similar to the blood being spilled. There is this acceptance that the ending is near, but also that burning hatred that there is an ending at all. It is incredible and really shows the inner turmoil within our characters, and it shows a poetic interplay between all of the songs and the maps themselves in Black Ops 3 that is only exemplified by the final map and the final song. Speaking of,
So much of the past has returned. But what of our future?
The Gift. Revelations. Catchiness, 19 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Total, 27 out of 30. A tier. Now, this wasn't intentional. Like I said, I didn't pick any of these songs. It was a very random order, so it's very odd that most of Black Ops 3 songs were almost right next to each other, and finishing off with The Gift. But to round off these 27s that Black Ops 3 gave us, we have the last 27, I'm pretty sure. The Gift. It truly is a gift as well that ties off Black Ops 3, and I think it is the second best of the 4 BO3 DLC Easter egg songs. It's also crazy, but I'm just realizing that like I said, randomly ranked them all in order, but it's went in the order that they happened. First Snakeskin Boots, then Dead Again, then Dead Flowers, then Dead Ending, and now The Gift. All in Black Ops 3's release order, excluding the Giant. But we barely talk about the Giant anyway, so it's fine. But crazy how that happened. Anyways, the song was incredibly both thematically and catchy. Elena again kills it in her performance, and the music box-like intro really sets the mood. But the drums breaking through it also hypes up the performance and really builds up the theatrics of it. I love this song and how it feels, but I just wish that for the finale song, Elena threw in at least a couple of death screams for nostalgia's sake. It's supposed to be a gift. It was supposed to be the ending. I wish that there was something thrown in that gave us a bit more nostalgia. But moving on to fittingness, The Gift is perfect as the map itself was supposed to be a gift for the zombies community. The song reflects this in starting again with that music box noise to remind us of Samantha and how we got there. And even the song itself feels more like a Black Ops 1 song than anything else, sending waves of nostalgia my way. It doesn't feel like Dead Ended, Dead Again, all of those. It feels more like an Abracadavre. The song fits the map very well as well, and I think it just needed more explicit references to what is happening beyond I Want You Dead. Speaking of, the only major lore to be found within the song is seemingly through the eyes of either Monty or the Shadow Man, or even both. But I wish that was dealt with more deeply than just, I hate you, and I want you to die. Like, it's cool and fairly significant to hear, but I just wished for a tiny bit. And in this category, I was going to give it a 2 out of 4, but I gave it an extra point because this song gave resolution to a very interesting theme I noticed and noted on very briefly and Dead Ended. I feel like it was intentional, but maybe it wasn't. But the maps, and by extension the songs themselves, really felt like they were reflecting the different stages of grief. The Giant was denial, refusal to accept the past, and claiming that there is a way to move forward past the past itself. And this is reflected by a remix of a song for the past to be more upbeat. Drache is bargaining as the map literally ends with Debsy pleading with Richthofen to be involved in his scheme, and more significantly, initiates the idea that Richthofen had bargained with Dr. Monty and believes that by sending their souls, they can somehow escape their fate. Dead Again, the song, reflects this as it shows understanding of the pain and death-filled loops, but also displays the desperation, especially through the lyrics, "You lead and I will follow." That suppose depression. This is the most obvious of the fact that you can hear that theme through the song Dead Flowers. And second most obvious is right after that, Gorod Krovi displaying anger in the song itself, as I described previously. And finally, Revelations, and by extension The Gift, shows the ideas of acceptance perfectly. Both the map and the song accept the past, and by the end of our quest, even accept our fate in this loop that we find ourselves in. Granted, Black Ops 4 changed that, but the theme still seems to be present. I may just be reading way too into things, hence why I only gave it the 1 extra point in its lore, but regardless, I think it's cool. The 1, Shino Numa. Catchiness, 14 out of 20. Fitness, 3 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 19 out of 30. The 1 is okay. It's very much middle of the road, and I think is a good indicator for a decent song. It gets repetitive fast. It doesn't do anything unique. It honestly sounds like a couple of the other songs. And despite being one of the original 3 Easter egg songs, it's very forgettable. And I know that's kind of controversial to say, but even compared to just the song before it, Lullaby of a Dead Man, it sounds too much like it. It's not enough different. Not much I could say, but besides the fact that it's a mid-song, it's very middle of the road. Fittingness and lore significance get similar 50% scores, as all it really describes is that you are here to kill me. Yes, hello, it's me, zombie. Like, that's it. That's all it's saying. It doesn't really get much more. However, it does give our first perspective into the zombies themselves, so it has to get at least some points for that. Same goes for fittingness. It may not fit Shino Numa much lyrically, but the long instrumentals and solos do fit the vibe of a zombie-slaying swamp perfectly, in my opinion. And going back, rereading the script, I have to say that I bagged on the one a little more than I intended. I didn't really touch on the positives of the one, and I just ended the rating there. So I wanted to add this. The catchiness score was a 14 out of 20, not a 10 out of 20. This is a C tier song, not a D tier one. This song is above average. Slightly, but still above average. It's catchy and good for the occasional listen, I just want to say that. However, I stand by my statement that it is unoriginal sounding. And yes, I understand that might be a bad take, since I'm only comparing it to the second Easter egg song to ever exist, but it sounds a lot like it. And compared to other songs like it that come in the future, the one just seems uncreative compared to them. It's very one note. And in short, good song, but could have used more. Oh, and one last thing to note, however, is bonus point. For its activation, since it stands to be one of the creepiest Easter egg song activations, and if not the most memorable, you literally answer a phone call in a radio hut and someone answers it. Not only that, but then they very creepily whisper, "I know when you are sleeping." It's a reference to lyrics in the song, but also raises a lot of questions. Questions I don't really want to know the answer to. It's very cool, very creepy. Beauty of Annihilation, the original. Derisa. Whatever. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 28 out of 30. The gold standard for Easter egg songs. This is the best that World at War has to offer, and is still one of the best lore-heavy, thematic, and catchy songs. The 115 before 115, Beauty of Annihilation, is an incredible song. Very similarly, the opening of the song is so engaging and iconic, but rather than coming in hard like 115, it builds up the melody insanely well and drops us into 4 incredibly creepy and somber lines. Reading into the lines themselves really exemplifies the lore that was stuffed into the song. And each line actually refers to each of the 4 main characters and serves as a soft introduction to them. I say soft because this isn't even the first map they're introduced in, and World of War even has character bios for them. But regardless, this is a great tidbit of lore, and it's all within the first 30 seconds. The rest of the song goes down very similar bits of lore, all while sounding incredible and not out of place. What is not out of place in this song, and what is not out of place, is the song in Doris. That was horrible transition. I should fire my writer. Jesus Christ. Wait, I'm right. Again, other than relating to the soft introduction, these characters have this, oh my god, my writing is horrible. What am I saying? The heavy metal feeling matches quite literally the heavy metal vibe of Doris's, a literal heavy metal factory. God, that was terrible. Oh my god. Anyways, this song is just as intense as the map itself in all the best of ways. I should have just said that. It may be a controversial placement putting it this high up, but in my opinion, it's just the best intro song to zombies music other than 115. I said intro song. I should just rewrite this entry. I'm keeping this in because this is absurd. Intro song? This is the best Easter egg song in zombies other than 115 and was my personal introduction. to zombies, followed shortly by Lullaby of a Dead Man, as I said. God, that was rough. Beauty of Annihilation, the remix. Catchiness, 16 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 26 out of 30. A tier. This is getting weird with how some of these songs are lining up. I literally used a random number generator to determine like which song to rate next. This is very weird. Anyways, next is the remix to Beauty of Annihilation. It's going to be a very controversial rating because I've heard so many people talk about how much they dislike this song, and I often hear that this song is incredibly inferior, underwhelming, or overall just bad compared to the original. And I'm here to end the slander. It's a good song, and I won't let anyone tell me otherwise. The remix isn't overwhelming, and it takes the message of the original and turns it on its head incredibly well. Much like the crew itself in this map, the song goes from an over-the-top metal anthem to a song with a somber beginning, with soft piano, and gives us the feeling of tension and seriousness rather than kick-ass nonsense, much like the dichotomy between Ultimus and Primus, Doris, and the Giant. And much like our crew is still our crew in its core, the song quickly picks up the pace and starts playing the anthem that we are all very familiar with. That said, I do have to dock a point because it's just not quite as good as the original. It's close, in my opinion, but it's still not as good. I can agree with that. I also have to dock another point because it is also a remix rather than an original song. This map is supposed to kick off the overall storyline of Black Ops 3. Alongside Shadows of Evil, these two maps come together to show us a prologue and introduction to what is to come. It's a bit of new mixed with a bit of old. And it fits perfectly with the setting being Doris, again, and although I think it's a huge positive, not everything needed to be the exact same. I think smaller details around the map, like the Easter egg song, should have been original, or at least more different. It's not a huge deal, so I'll only docked another point from its catchiness score. However, as I'm sure you can tell from my mini rant, the lore significance and fittingness get perfect scores, much like its predecessor. It's also for similar reasons. It set up our characters well, their goals, and even the situation they are in. Although they are the same lyrics in the song, the music itself is different, giving a complete different meaning and message to the same lyrics, which perfectly mirrors the characters and setting itself. It's a familiar face, but completely different internal motivations. Great song, both rhythmically and relating to the map it comes from.
Systems here.
I Am the Well, Alpha Omega, catchiness 3 out of 20, fittingness 1 out of 6, lore significance 2 out of 4. Overall, 6 out of 30, F tier. So I gotta be completely honest with you. I think this might be my least favorite zombie song. Now, we aren't done with the list yet, but dude, I wanted to turn it off after the first verse. I'm sorry if this is one of your favorites, but it's so one-dimensional. It feels like Nova is singing the same note for 4.5 minutes, and it is just non-stop lyrics. There is just never a break for the music to just speak for itself. And even if it did, you wouldn't hear anything. It doesn't do anything unique. It was just kind of the same or similar chord progression throughout most of the song without really developing it in any sort of appealing way. It sounded like a worse version of many other zombie songs. And the worst part is that it didn't even really feel like a zombie song. Like, what the fuck is he on about in this song? I have no idea what is happening. And like I said, it just comes off as a mess of lyrics that I just don't vibe with. I'm starting to think that maybe I don't like Nova as a singer, but then again, Dead Ended is an S tier. So maybe it's just that Nova is the most polar singer of the main three. He's either F, C, or S tier, with very little to no in between. Now, as for the lore, there might be something there if you look like really hard into the lyrics, but you gotta squint real hard. You have to be looking for it, and like nothing really stuck out to me while I was listening and reading the lyrics, but maybe I can see hints of something if I really focused. But the real travesty is the fittingness. I give it a 1. It doesn't remind me of Primus or Ultimus. It doesn't have a message that makes me think of them, and even the music behind the lyrics doesn't remind me of them at all. The only reason I give it a 1 is because I felt bad. I didn't want to give it a 5 in total score, but honestly, it probably deserves it. Big yikers on this one. I mean, like, it just sucks. Oh, also, this is the Easter egg song for Alpha Omega, if you didn't catch that. I don't think the map is nearly as bad as people in the zombies community say, but this song being absolute trash is really, really not helping its case. What is he on about? What is the well? Why is he the well? What does it mean? Whatever. F tier. Finally, some good music. Always Running, Buried. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 25 out of 30. A tier. Now, if you've been paying attention so far, you'll know that typically a song gets less points in catchiness if it's too long or too short. And I typically like them in the 3 to 5 minutes maximum range. Always Running, however, is the exception to that. It does a perfect job of hypnotically keeping me enthralled in Maluka's voice, as she so often does. The beat is so simple, it's so catchy, and I love the spiritual feeling it gives. It is quintessentially buried, and the lyrics are so slow in a beautifully haunting way that makes it very easy to sing along to. The only gripes I have with it is that the chorus does get a little long and a little repetitive, and I do wish that the song did a little bit more elsewhere. I don't know, it just felt like it could have used that extra push. Not much to say about Always Running when it comes to catchiness, besides it's a solid song, and that my favorite part has to be the ending where it does build up, and it really gets across that feeling of anxiety and paranoia the song is trying to get across. But let me talk about the lowest score it got first before singing more praises on it. The lore significance is only a 2, and it's for the same reasons as We All Fall Down and Carry On and all of the other Victus songs. The song is essentially saying, we need to survive, or else we're gonna die. It didn't really tell us anything new or significant, and for that, it only got a 2. It's the same score as We All Fall Down. But where it gets mega points, is that this song is one of the most fitting songs of any Easter egg song, up there with the likes of Not Ready to Die and Snakeskin Boots, and it does so in a way that the other two do very differently. It relies almost entirely on the music rather than the lyrics. And the music in the background, the instruments, it portrays this perfect image of a barren desert and loneliness, hopelessness, and even a spooky ghostliness and those haunting lyrics and long melodies. I mean, when I hear it, like, I think of a haunted house, which perfectly fits the vibe that Buried is going for. And so I mean it when I say that this song encapsulates the feeling of Buried perfectly.
I sure hope.
A Light from the Shore, Tog der Toten. Catchiness, 15 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Bonus points, 2. Overall, 22 out of 30. I think that this song, much like the map it's from, is heavily slept on. I know pure, non-lyrical soundtrack music is not everyone's cup of tea, but this one is really good. It's a collage of many different motifs and themes from zombies throughout the year, and it blends them together in a very fluid way that is still very catchy. it's very surprising how well it's done, and the song has a way of not only making you jam out, but making you think and reminisce on the years of zombies that came before. It sets the mood and sends off zombies in a very sick series of guitar solos, signing off zombies very poetically in a way very similar to how it started. And I had to give a bonus point to this because, and I don't know if it was intentional, but making the last song in Zombies a pure instrumental, just like the first song in Zombies, WTF, it's a very poetic sign-off and a very interesting choice. I think it deserves a bonus point because of it. And again, I don't think that it was an intentional, if I'm being honest, and I would have preferred a lyrical sign-off like The Gift, but as we all know, BO4 didn't exactly get the time and love it deserved. So I will just enjoy what we got. And I have to give another bonus point because the activation of the song is so incredibly cool. You do interact with 3 objects like in any other map, but the objects themselves is what makes it so cool. They are the 3 weapons that were used in the original Call of the Dead intro cutscene. You activate a sickle, a pitchfork, and a machete. Really cool reference, and I think deserves a unique Easter egg activation bonus point. Now, lore-wise, I have to give the song a 0 because it doesn't add anything. Even atmospherically, it doesn't build anything since this is just a remix of previous motifs. However, this does give it points in the fittingness category. Since it is a collection of motifs, it fits very well as a finale song. But it just does it very differently than how Gift did it in BO3. But besides, sharing that ending guitar solo during the end of the Easter egg and Togdertone is so good, and it's such a hype moment, even if it would have been better if there was an actual boss fight. Regardless, Life from the Shore did a great thing, and I wish more people gave it a listen.
Hey, that looks right.
Where are we going? 2018 edition. Blood of the Dead. Catchiness? 20 out of 20. Fittingness? 6 out of 6. Lore significance? 4 out of 4. Overall? 30 out of 30. S+ tier. Now, before I get into my review, I have to immediately defend myself. Now, do I think that this song is better than 115 and Not Ready to Die? No, with an asterisk. I do believe that all 3 of them are very different songs. And I believe that what they do best. And I can truly imagine listening to any of these songs on a repeat. Hence why they all got perfect 20s in catchiness, but they are just very different songs. This got a perfect Zombies song score, 30 out of 30 S+. And now, after all of the preliminary stuff, finally, let me explain why I think this song is quintessential best zombie song. And it culminates the entirety of Zombies as a game mode. And it is the absolutely best thing to come out of Black Ops 4, which is a little sad, but whatever. Now, to explain first why the catchiness is a 20 out of 20, and that the original is only a 12, which should be explained, is that I want to tell you a brief story about much more hopeful times. Back when Black Ops 4's teaser trailer for Zombies was dropped, and we got our first look at the cinematic trailer for Blood of the Dead, the trailer was so hype and explosive and ominous, and behind all of that, you could hear this haunting choir and instruments, and then Maluka comes in with her haunting melodies to join in before it all comes crashing in on you hard and into familiar yet different musical territories with the original Where Are We Going? And whereas before the lyrics got repetitive really fast in the original version, the intro and the outro sequences help break up the monotony, and the addition of new instrumentals in the background and a choir to back up the vocals, it really escalates the song into, honestly, an orchestral masterpiece. And that is the point that I'm trying to get across with the catchiness score of this song, and what I was talking about with it being very different from the other 2. Not Ready to Die is the perfect concert experience. It is a long song, has a long intro, and it's beautifully made. I could see that at any Avenged Sevenfold concert and love the experience. Meanwhile, 115 is the perfect jamming out metal song. It's short, it's to the point, catchy as fuck, that you'll want to listen to it over and over again. And finally, this one, Where Are We Going, for 2018, it is the perfect orchestral story piece. The other two, yes, you'll jam out to, but this one, although you very much will also jam out to, it also makes you feel something, and even experience a story with just the sound. I can literally picture the map and elements of the trailer by just hearing those drums and cymbals and echoing vocals. And that is why I get to 20 out of 20, because it isn't just an amazing song, it's an amazing song that paints an incredible picture that I can always find myself getting lost in. It doesn't stop there either, as where 115 didn't really feel like Nuketown and Not Ready to Die didn't really feel like Call of the Dead 100%, this screams hellish purgatory. I could not imagine this song on any other map, and since it is a reimagining of the original Where Are We Going, I have to say that it doesn't even fit well into the original map, Mob of the Dead. This song is purely meant for Blood of the Dead. It fits all of its themes perfectly, and all of the new lyrics and old lyrics clash together harmoniously and fit our characters and their motivations perfectly. They are literally trapped in a hellish loop of a nightmare. And even beyond this nightmare continues. Beyond this island, this nightmare continues. And the song articulates this idea so well. And finally, lore-wise, I have to say that it shows us our characters' motivations and struggles for the first time in Black Ops 4. Even the first opening lyrics, Dust of 1,000 Years, shows just how long our characters, specifically Richtofen, have been fighting desperately for their freedom, and how frustrating it all is. It shows that inner turmoil in our characters, and it is done so beautifully. I was also going to originally give this song a bonus point for the sheer production that went into it. There was a full-on live choir used, and a cinematic movie made to pair with this song, and so much more that went into it. It is incredible. But besides the fact that the bonus point would carry the score to a 31 out of 30, and that being very unfair, this is still a remaster of a previous song. And even though it does what it does tens of times better than the original, it is still not a completely original song, and I think that at the very least takes away from the bonus point due to the criteria that I set at the beginning, giving more credence to original songs. So this leaves it at a net 0 in bonus points, but it doesn't matter. Still a perfect 30 out of 30. All in all, fantastic piece, and it is deserving of our new ultimate top spot. And I do say new top spot, because although this score does tie with Not Ready to Die, Not Ready to Die got there because of a bonus point, whereas this song got there with the completely perfect scores across the board, naturally. So this song gets a top spot by the very slimmest of margins. Think of this song as a 30 out of 30, and Not Ready to Die as like a 29.99 repeating out of 30. That's how close it is in my mind.
I relish the opportunity to spill your blood.
Amoeba by Adolescence. Catchiness, 13 out of 20. Fittingness, 0 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Bonus points, -1. Overall, 13 out of 30. E tier. Okay, from the highest of highs back down to hell, lowest of lows. The song itself, I have to say, is okay. The song's fine, but that's about all I can say. This song is definitely from the 80s, and you can tell it's a fine song. Not my personal cup of tea, but it's okay. There's nothing really more to say about it, hence, why it gets a very middle of the road score of 13. And that score is being very lenient, because I can see plenty of people saying that they really enjoy the song, it's one of their favorites, stuff like that. I can get why people like that song. That said, what the is it doing on Nuketown? It doesn't fit the vibes of the map at all. Like, is it supposed to be like the vibe of a dancing in a nightclub in Germany or something, because it just doesn't. It doesn't at all. It's sung by an American punk band. So what is it doing in Germany on this map? It also just doesn't match the dark and gritty feeling of Valor like at all. And like I said, the song is from the 80s, and like it barely fits the time period. Like it honestly sounds more like 90s punk rock to me. But anyways, honestly, and I have to talk about the lore significance, and don't even get me started on that, because obviously there's literally none here. Honestly, I believe that this song is the worst out of all of them when it comes to fitting the map that it's attached to. And many of the others, they just don't fit, like, at all. But, they might sit in another map or something like that. But this song doesn't belong in any map, period. It doesn't belong in Zombies. I don't know why it's here. I could see this... Okay, it could belong in a map, not in a Treyarch map. I could see this in Infinite Warfare Zombies. Like, something like Raven the Redwoods. Something, because it has a lot of that 80s synthwave kind of feel to it. But it doesn't match the dark grittiness of the Treyarch zombies that we're used to, especially in Cold War. The Easter egg songs in general usually help build ambience and help the overall feeling of the map and the immersion. But this song does the opposite. It honestly takes away from that immersion. And for all those reasons, I have to give it a negative bonus point for the first time, and I think the only time. Surprise, negative bonus point. I guess I never did clarify that it had to be positive at the beginning. It's such a bad Easter egg song that I had to take a point away. I want to make it clear, again, to any fans of this song, though, that the song itself is not bad. It is just a terrible Zombies Easter egg song. I hope that is clear. If not, please refresh yourself to the intro of the video and why I'm giving it the score that I'm giving it. But anyways, E tier. And it's only saving itself by being a half-decent song. But let's get away from this quickly.
What's going on? Sal? Finn? You here? Plan.
Got it. Rusty Cage, Mob of the Dead. Catchiness, 19 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 1 out of 4. Bonus points, -1. Overall, 25 out of 30. A tier. This song did for Mob of the Dead what the 2018 remix of Where Are We Going did for Blood of the Dead. It is impossible to think of Blood of the Dead without thinking of that trailer with Where Are We Going from 2018. And similarly, it is impossible not to think of Mob of the Dead and not be reminded of its intro cinematic trailer with Rusty Cage by Johnny Cash. I can still hear those first notes of the guitar after activating the last bottle in the map, and it is just such an amazing song. Typically, I'm not a fan of country kind of western type music, but Johnny Cash is the exception to that. And this song is definitely one of his top songs of all time, in my opinion. I'd give it a perfect 20 out of 20, but like I said, it still isn't my personal favorite genre. And I want to give credence to the more original songs like we talked about before, so I couldn't give it that perfect score. But I completely understand if you do give this a perfect 20 out of 20. Anyways, enough about the song itself. Can we just talk about how the song is the most fitting non-original song in all of Zombies? Like, Johnny Cash's music, especially this one, a song literally about breaking out of a rusty cage, fits the theme of monsters breaking out of Alcatraz perfectly. It fits so well, you would think that the song was made for the map itself. Obviously this isn't the case, but I digress. Now, I have to give the lore significance a 1 out of 4 though, because obviously it shows our characters' motives in a way, and that they want to escape, obviously, but it doesn't do much beyond that. So I decided to give it 1 point at least, as I do think more story-wise than nothing, and I do have to immediately take away that extra point because it isn't an original song. Like I said at the beginning, an Easter egg song is best when it is original, as it feels unique and very memorable experience to hear a song for the first time when you're playing on the map it's intended for. And Rusty Cage, although amazing, was not an original zombie song. So I do have to take away from that score, albeit slightly. Hence the -1. It was the only way I could fit it.
There is no advantage in turning it down.
Samantha's Ballad, Forsaken. Catchiness, 8 out of 20. Fittingness, 5 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 15 out of 30. D tier. The most disappointing conclusion song out of any game, Samantha's Ballad. It's quite fitting that the last ever Easter egg song, so far, got a perfect 50% score, especially with how Zombies is heading. Samantha's Ballad is the definition of not good, but not bad. If this was part of the OST of Forsaken and it played just somewhere in the map, you didn't have to trigger it, then I would not be surprised, to be honest. I also have to be completely honest that this was the only song that before making this tier list I had most definitely not heard before. All of the others I've heard multiple times, but this one not a single time. And I do stand by my score, as I scored it immediately after hearing it for that first time. And usually I like songs better for the first time I hear it. But beyond that, I have to say that it is better than the original Samantha Lullaby, in which I gave that a 5 in catchiness. But, it's not better by much, hence why this version only gets an 8. It gets those 3 extra points by building off of the motif of Samantha's Lullaby to make a fairly cohesive song, and it even is able to blend together multiple versions of the lullaby, which is very interesting. And this also is what makes the song very fitting for Forsaken. This map is literally the culmination of Samantha's journey to acceptance of what she is, what she's been through, and all that. And this song is a ballad, meaning that it is literally a somber recollection of a character, in this case, Samantha. And that is the entire story of Forsaken and Cold War in a nutshell. Samantha is finding redemption and accepting who she is and what she must do. Now, that said, this song doesn't get a perfect fittingness score, however, because there's still a part of Forsaken that is about, killing an elder god. And this song just doesn't remind me at all of those intense themes. The reasons this song being tied to Samantha is also what gives us our lore significance, as it allows us to have an idea of what Samantha is feeling and what she's going through. And she is sad, yes, yet pensive. She knows what she must do, and then she's reflecting on herself. The song reflects that idea and through its instruments, but since there are no lyrics, there's no clear message beyond that personal analysis of it. So although I'm confident that that is what the song is trying to get across, it isn't guaranteed, and it still isn't a very deep meaning, to be honest, story-wise. So, 2 out of 4. And finally, I was originally going to give this song a bonus point because of its activation quest, because you have to do this whole side Easter egg quest in the Burger Town section of Forsaken, and it's really cool that you have to do this quest in order to get the song. But then I realized something. The quest wasn't for the song. The quest was for a loot chest, and so that there was some sort of bunny Easter egg on this map, just like all of the other Cold War maps. This song was just tacked on as a prize for completing the side quest, along with some scrap and some other stuff that we don't care about. It is literally just a gold cassette item that is thrown at you from the chest, similar to how Intel or some other game items would be thrown at you. It would have been more effective if, I don't know, it just started playing like all the other Easter egg songs. Like when you finished the quest, it just started playing instead of making it some weird pickup. Making it a pick-upable item, it feels kind of tacky. I don't know. Ether. Origins. Catchiness, 15 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Overall, 21 out of 30. C tier. Aether is not that bad. I'll be honest. I used to hate on it, but sitting down and listening to it, like actually listening to it, it made me like fairly enjoy it. It wasn't too long. It didn't overstay its welcome, and what it does may be simple, but it's very effective. The weird sound effects used for the music are so alien in nature that it makes them very memorable. But it doesn't feel over the top or misplaced, as like I said, it comes together to make a really fun song to just chill and listen to. And obviously, the song, however, has no lore significance, unless you read really deeply and think that the quote-unquote alien noises hint at where the story was going past Origins. And although I can see an argument for it, I think that it's reading way too deeply. And the most shocking part, however, about this score, moving away from the lore, is that in my opinion, the fitness score is a perfect 6 out of 6. And you might be wondering, why the f*** is there a 6 out of 6? And I don't know, completely, to be honest. But there's something about the mechanical alien noises mixed with the chanting and, for the lack of a better term, ethereal noises interlaced that fits Origins and its vibes perfectly. If I had never heard this song before, I would absolutely attribute it to being from Origins. It just fits the map perfectly. The 8-bit songs, Coming Home, Redamned, and Pareidolia, from Moon and Nuketown. Catchiness, 13 out of 20. Fittingness, 1 out of 6. Lore significance, 2 out of 4. Overall, 16 out of 30. D tier. I decided to lump all of these 8-bit songs into one entry because A, not a lot of people know about them. B, they're all very similar and on one map. Moon, well, it's also in Nuketown, but we try to forget about Nuketown. C, not a lot of people really like them. And D, they're all activated the exact same way on Moon. You interact with a radio or radio-like object in the labs, and boom, you get your song. Overall, I mean, what is there really to say about the 8-bit song? They're fairly catchy 8-bit remixes of the originals they're based off of. They're fairly short as well, only a couple minutes long, but really only the first 30 seconds of each are catchy, and then it already seems to flute. That said, those 30 seconds are a bop, I will admit, so I can't rate these too lowly as I think they are quite underrated. And, you know, can we just say how crazy it is? The sheer number of Easter egg songs that Moon got? I think it's 5 in total. There's these 3, the 8-bit remixes, and then there's Nightmare, and Coming Home, an original song. That's 5 songs, 4 of which are original for this map. And yet, Dr. Toten can barely get 1? Boo! Whatever, I'm mad. Anyways, as expected, both fittingness and lore-wise gets a 1 score, and, you know, oh no, sorry, losing my mind. As expected, the fittingness score gets a 1. Now, why does it get a 1, not a 0? Is because Moon is the finale, and these are remixes of songs from the previous maps that led to our characters to get here. So, having them be remixes of our journey that got us here, I think is a very unique thing, and so giving it a 1 is, you know, it's pretty nice. I think it's a nice fittingness bow to tie on everything. However, them being 8-bit arcade remixes similar to that found in Dead Ops Arcade makes very little sense for Moon. So, you know, again, 1 for fittingness. Why that arcade feels off to me is because, like, Moon is all about being dark and gritty and, like, that finale to this grand scheme. And so having this weird cartoonish arcade, like, music playing, I don't know, it just feels off to me. But lore-wise, it surprisingly gets a 2, not a 1. That less for the content of the song, but really the implications of the songs themselves and where they're placed. For the reason stated in the fittingness section, it deserves at least 1 point in lore, but it gets another point because these Easter egg songs found in Moon are, like I briefly mentioned, also Easter egg songs in Nuketown Zombies. And if you don't know, Nuketown is interconnected with the map Moon, and the fact that both of these maps take place at the exact same time, which is a rare occurrence in our multi-dimensional timeline. And because of this connectedness being emphasized even inside Easter egg songs, I do think that the lore significance of these songs should be bumped up to a 2 out of 4, leaving us with a total score of 16, D tier. But in my opinion, I think D is pretty respectable for these. Undone, Nuketown Remastered. Catchiness, 6 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Bonus points, 1. Overall, 13 out of 30, E tier. This song is a very rare example of a song that I think is really just not good at all, but it fits the map perfectly. Now, as a quick aside, if you didn't know, this song was only on the remaster of Nuketown. I believe it was first on the version of Nuketown on Black Ops 1 during the Resurrection DLC. And then it came back during the Black Ops 3 Zombies Chronicles DLC. It was not in the original World at War. I do know that for a fact. It wasn't on there. And you activate this through shooting all of the red barrels on the map. But we'll get to that one in a little bit. But back on track. To this fitting the map perfectly, I have to, like usual, talk about the catchiness score. And the song it sucks, okay? It just fucking keeps going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. It's 5.5 minutes long. Like, you have to know that. And you know what else is a slow trudge through the rounds? Playing Nuketown. The zombies are slow. They spawn 1.5 miles away. And high rounding takes actual real-life days. And it's insane how slow Nuketown can be and how this song really exemplifies that feeling. So, enough about the map. The song being a constant repeat of the same 5 to 10 second melodies interlaced with an admittedly great-sounding guitar solo makes the entire song get tiring. And even the solo that I was just complimenting can get tiring after a bit, and it makes me want to shut the song off. But then I'd be left with the quiet emptiness of Noct, so, there's that, I guess. But obviously, like I'm saying, it's annoying. I'll just leave it at that. It's annoying. But obviously, I don't have to talk about the lore. Noct doesn't have any anyways, so it makes sense that this song wouldn't have any lore. And I do have to say that I do like the activation, and like I was talking about earlier, you have to shoot all these barrels in order to get it activated, and it's, very unique, so I do think it's worthy of a bonus point. And, before I move on from this, because that's the last thing I really have to say about this song, I do want to say that it sucks that I really like WTF more than this song, when WTF was literally just a thrown-on radio song for the original map. I'm pretty sure that it's also just a song from the World at War campaign thrown in, but what are you gonna do? It's a real shame, but hey, if you like guitar solos, maybe this song's for you. Just not for me.
I think I am one of them. Needed.
Remember Forever, Origins Remastered. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 29 out of 30. S tier. This song is the peak form of Samantha's lullaby and what the song should be. It's what Samantha's ballad should have been. But since this song came out before the ballad, I understand why the ballad seemed so lackluster. But this song is the perfect culmination of catchy music, nostalgic motifs, a great message, and overall just an incredible song. The song is incredibly somber, yet also almost inspiring in a way. It's haunting, but not in a bad way, similar to how Where Are We Going 2018 is. And how the song ends as well, it also ties it all in a very nice symphonic bow. It's very, very great and uplifting. The song obviously follows, like I was saying, the pattern of Samantha's lullaby, but the song legitimately ends with the original Samantha's lullaby playing. And that is the ultimate love letter to both Samantha and the Ether Zombie storyline as a whole. This also is what makes the song so perfect. It's where it's placed. The song, if you didn't know, was placed into Origins, specifically the last map for Zombies Chronicles, that version of Origins. But the song itself was actually made for Zombies Chronicle as a whole, and it fits the nostalgic remaster pack perfectly. Placing it on Origins, however, is just also an incredible choice, as that map truly was the culmination of Zombies as a whole, and is the epitome of Zombies for many players. I can see an argument of placing it on Noct since it was the beginning, but not a lot of people started all the way back then. I can also see the argument for Kino, since there's a lot of nostalgia coming from the greatest map of all time, Kino der Schoen, Black Ops 1. But it just doesn't fit the vibe of Kino. However, Origins, well, Origins fits that perfect somber feeling it's going for. It fits those nostalgic memories and even fits the in-game message behind the song, as the song is literally about Samantha's remembrance of the past from within the house. The place that she's literally trying to get to in Origins. So it's a perfectly fitting song, and from a lore perspective also gives us the entire reason why these maps are remastered and why they look slightly differently. The song tells us that this is essentially Samantha, and by extension Monty, looking back on the past and, well, remembering forever. It's an amazing song, and even though it is slower and more somber than others, it is a beautiful and memorable song. Plus the Zombies Chronicles trailer that came with it, iconic. Love the snow globe. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, even the activation of this song in Origins is killer. It involves shooting 4 secret colored icons down in the bottom of the mound with each of the 4 staves that only appear when you're in zombie blood. And then Samantha dolls appear in the circle pedestal in the crazy place, and after you shoot them, you get a max ammo and this beautiful song plays. It's a wonderful activation that is deserving of a bonus point and kicking it to a really high, surprising score of 29 out of 30. So this random number generator is not as random as it seems, because it's really weird how these coincidences keep happening. Anyways, Samantha's Lullaby, Zetsubo no Shima. Catchiness, 8 out of 20. Fittingness, 1 out of 6. Lore significance, 1 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 11 out of 30. E tier. So like I was just saying, I didn't intend to do the last versions of Samantha's Lullaby back to back. It just happened that way, so here we are. What I want to say is that this is my favorite version of the original Samantha's Lullaby. The score may not reflect that, but it is my favorite version. The Ballad of Samantha and Remember Forever are complete remixes of the original, but this version I would still consider to be an original Samantha's Lullaby, as not much really changes to the song. Even though it is virtually the same, I do love the raindrop-like sound effects that the notes have, and it starts off very slow and then speeds up to that normal pace of Samantha's Lullaby. And the song itself, like I said, it's still whatever, middle of the road, but it gets bonus points in catchiness due to that intro sequence. It also gets a bonus point in general just for being a very unique activation. It's a little confusing on how to do it or why you're supposed to know to do this, but it's a unique activation nonetheless. Watering bulbs on the wall is a very interesting activation sequence and very fitting for ZNS. Alright, there's the good. This entry would have gone higher than the original if not for one reason, however. What the f is it doing on ZNS? I mean, Samantha's literally nowhere to be found, not just in this map, but in the universe that Zetsubo no Shima is in. Samantha's literally in the house at this point, so this makes very little sense. Why is Samantha's Lullaby in Zetsubo no Shima? It just, I don't know, whatever. But it still gets a 1 in this score because, well, Samantha's Lullaby does fit anywhere in zombies, just as much as Damned fits anywhere in zombies. And similarly for the lore, Samantha's influence and impact is everywhere. So this deserves at least a point. But again, just why is Samantha's Lullaby here? It really just adds more questions than answers for the lore of the map. And it's really confusing, but still a good version of the song, I'll admit. E tier. Defend the Dryer, Blood of the Dead. Catchiness, 16 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Overall, 22 out of 30. B tier. Okay, but, like, why does this song unironically go real hard? I mean, like, it's a very simple idea, but the rhythmic repeating beat, replicating that feeling of a thumping laundry machine, is performed so epically. And it has no reason to be that epic, but it makes completing laundry sound super triumphant and dramatic. It's short, yes, but in the time that it takes, it makes me bounce my head along with the rhythm, and it makes me upset that I didn't remember this song in the first place. It actually originally wasn't going to be in this video, but I found out that there is an activation in Blood of the Dead for this song, even though it was originally just used as an OST for Mob of the Dead, which is where I knew it from for when you're doing the laundry, obviously. But beyond the head-bouncing nature of the song, it is obviously a 6 out of 6 in fittingness, because, you know, there's the obvious fact that these two maps that it's in is, you know, the only two maps that you do laundry, but beyond that, there's a lot of chanting and spiritual noises to be found throughout the song, and it just, you know, exudes energy that is found in Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead. Obviously, the praises have to stop somewhere, and they go to a grinding halt in the lore significance section because, well, we're doing laundry. That's not exactly a lot of lore to be found in that, I'm afraid. Overall, very surprising B tier contender. Very happy with this song.
Bring it on. I ain't scared.
Place in this city. Your paths have crossed here.
Cold Hard Cash, Shadows of Evil. Catchiness, 18 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Bonus point, 1. Overall, 29 out of 30. S tier. I am just constantly surprised with these later entries. This song is very close originally to being in an A tier, and I was torn between giving it an 18 or a 17. But after hearing it through again, I have to give it an 18. And this, honestly, just might be the most surprising S tier in the entire list for everyone, including myself. But let me explain why. The best way I can describe this song is that it is the light version of Snakeskin Boots. It is much slower, it's more theatrical, but it's still quintessential Shadows of Evil, and by extension, the 1930s. The song may be slower, but it is still a certified bop. Granted, it's not as much as Snakeskin Boots, But the longer the song goes on, the more the brass section plays, and it pairs so beautifully with the vocals. The song really makes me feel like I'm actually in a 1930s burlesque show. And two things really stick out to me that give this such a high score and catchiness, besides, the song itself being great. The first is that you can actually hear the Shadows of Evil main theme, the round change song, during the song itself multiple times, and it's such a treat to hear that. And the second is the ending. The song builds up this entire time, with the brass section becoming louder and louder and more prominent as the song goes on, but at the very crescendo of the song, all of the brass cuts out for a solo from the singer. And her and the brass have this beautiful call-in response at the end that is just mwah, chef's kiss. It's just cold, bam, hard, bam, cash. Oh, it's so good. If you haven't heard this song, at least listen to the ending, like 30 seconds of it. So good. Just slaps so hard. Now, it doesn't get a perfect score, however, because although it is amazing, I don't think it's better than the songs that have a 19 or a 20. And I think this is just due to the fact that I honestly think the song is missing something. I don't know what, but I just wish, especially at the beginning, that the song had a little more oomph. And though I still can understand what the point of that is, since the song is kind of build up incarnate, but I don't know. I just can't with a good heart put this on the same level as the other 19s and 20s. Though it is close, I will admit. Funnily enough, this song actually gets a higher overall score than Snakeskin Boots, despite being slightly less catchy, but that's just because of how both fitting and lore heavy the song is. The song, much like Snakeskin Boots, fits Shadows of Evil like a glove. I don't think there's much else to say because you can hear it in the song, and it's impossible not to think of this as belonging in Shadows of Evil. And as for the lore, the song single-handedly gives all of the backstory on Jessica Rose, and even gives little sprinkles of knowledge for the motivations of our entire crew. It's such a good song, and finally, the only reason this entire song got a slightly higher score than Snakeskin Boots is because of the bonus point. And now, why did this song get a bonus point? Well, there's two reasons. Half of it is because of just how hard they went in on this song. Snakeskin Boots was used in trailers and promotional material, but this song wasn't, to my knowledge. But, Treyarch Sound just went and decided, you know what? I'll make a whole burlesque routine just for the hell of it. And that's insane and incredible. And it really was like a whole routine. Like, did you know that the song fits perfectly into the actual lengths of a real 3 to 5 minute burlesque show? Crazy, crazy detail. Secondly, the activation itself, although just a fancy interactable Easter egg, hence why it's only half a point, is really cool. And how you grab components to a mic stand and assembling them on stage is really cool. And almost deserving of 2 bonus points, but, I don't think it's quite that far. Overall, it's just an incredible song, worthy of S tier no matter what some may think, and Shadows of Evil is, honestly, it was just perfection in every way, I swear. It just continues to impress me the more that I learn about the map. Shockwave. Classified. Catchiness, 16 out of 20. Fittingness, 3 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Overall, 22 out of 30. B tier. This song does something that I did not think was possible for a Black Ops 4 song. It recaptured the feeling of a Black Ops 1 Easter egg song fairly well. I could hear this, for instance, being played on Moon instead of Coming Home, for instance, or on a Black Ops 1 map in general. I think the only thing that would elevate it would be if Elena had a death scream or two in there to really sell that Black Ops 1 song feel. But that's nitpicking. The real subtraction from the score, however, is just that there doesn't seem to be anything that sticks out too much in the song. That's not necessarily a bad thing in this case, and this song is very solid. It's catchy, it's memorable, and it had me enjoying my time throughout it all. Now, a little controversial, but the fittingness score only gets a 3 out of 6. It's controversial because when I just hear the song, I do not think of Classified at all. However, when I hear the lyrics, I can most definitely classify it, especially when you consider the fact that this song feels like a Black Ops 1 song and the cast of the map is entirely consisting of those from Black Ops 1. And putting that all into consideration, I think giving it a halfway score is entirely appropriate. Finally, for lore significance, I was surprised to hear much of any in this song. It once again talks about Samantha, yada yada, and since it didn't add too much new, and this has been beaten to death in previous songs, I subtracted a point from the total, but didn't let this hurt the overall score too much, as Samantha is a big player on this map. She's still the main motivator, and the whole point of the song is to show that although Samantha isn't directly there, her influence is still felt throughout the map in various ways, including the Easter egg that Richthofen hears her voice on in Area 51. Fun fact if you didn't know. Just like the song says, wherever they go, she will follow like a shadow or a shockwave. Very interesting song, and it surprised me by how much I did actually enjoy it.
Without the bullets, I cannot kill. Here.
Samantha's Journey, Moon Remastered. Catchiness, 11 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 4 out of 4. Overall, 21 out of 30, C tier. I had no idea that this song existed, and that makes me very, very sad. This song is actually really, really good. It isn't my favorite song inspired by Samantha's Lullaby, but it is very high up there. And it is a song that I would consider a remix to Samantha's Lullaby because it's too different. Otherwise, it would be the highest of those beating even ZNS's version. This song came by surprise and kind of came out of nowhere near the end of this video. I'm glad I could review it, and it's definitely a song I'll come back to for the occasional listen when I'm feeling nostalgic. And although it isn't the most complicated or catchy song, the fittingness and lore significance scores go off the charts on this one. Firstly, it obviously gets a perfect 6 out of 6 in fittingness. This song literally represents Samantha's journey, as the title states, and the music captures that feeling perfectly. Moon was literally the map to start Samantha's journey in multiple ways. She was sent here as a child, sealing her fate. Her soul was swapped here by Richthofen, sealing her fate once again, and her soul was taken from the moon and sent to another dimension where she reaches out to her heroes and origins, thus sealing her fate for a third time. Moon is very eventful for Samantha and is definitely the most fitting map to represent her entire journey. And if I didn't say enough in that explanation, this shows the lore implications of the song perfectly. The song represents the entire journey that our little lost girl has gone through and will continue to go through, and it all starts for her here on the moon.
We are to last. Did anyone check the
Power restored.
Won't Back Down, 5. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 0 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Overall, 17 out of 30, D tier. Here we go again. Okay, so, the song is good. Let's just get that out of the way right now. The song's good and all that. The Eminem's cool. And even though it isn't my favorite song, and isn't even my favorite song from both of the respective artists on this song, I can acknowledge that it is a really good and solid song. I think 17 out of 20 is a fair score to give in regards to just how good it sounds. That said, what the f is it doing here? This song is the definition of catchiness being all that is going for it. I cannot in good conscience give this any points in fittingness or lore significance, because why the hell is this on a map about political figures fighting zombies in the White House? Oh, yeah, I guess it's because they won't back down? No, this song was just used because it was in the campaign, and I think maybe the game's promotional materials, it really feels like that this was just thrown in because they decided that they needed a song and just picked one that they already bought the rights for. It's which is, you know, fair from a business standpoint, but that's not what I'm reviewing here. I'm reviewing what, with the criteria what I'm using, the best zombies Easter egg songs. And with that in mind, like, just what the hell were they thinking? I have no more words. That's all there is to it. D tier, get me out of here.
Claws and knives!
Pareidolia, Shangri-La, catchiness, 17 out of 20, fittingness, 5 out of 6, lore significance, 2 out of 4, overall, 24 out of 30, B tier. I am honestly shocked that it took this long to get to this song. Pareidolia is a wonderful song, and I think that it could honestly be one of the best in Black Ops 1, you know, excluding Not Ready to Die, if not for one thing. It drags on for so long. Now, before getting into that, I want to start with positives as usual for catchiness. It's a fun song, has great death screams like all of the Black Ops 1 songs. It has a catchy beat, beautiful piano, hardcore guitar, and so much more going for it. I love listening to the song, and it is a constantly good time. Even just the moment that it starts and that killer guitar just starts shredding away and immediately puts you into a headbanging mindset. It's so great. But here's the problem. What if I told you that this song was 6 minutes and 10 seconds long? Okay, not entirely true. The song is roughly 4 minutes and 30 seconds long, but has an almost 2-minute outro. I love the song to bits, I really do, but did it really need such a long outro? I get that it is building up this mysterious yet beautiful feeling that Shangri-La is known for, but did it have to just keep going? It gets a little annoying when, you know, listening to it on its own, and I just want to listen to it, you know, back to back, or waiting for the song to end so I can get to the next one. But exploring the map, the outro itself does add a great sense of wonder, I will admit, but if I'm just killing zombies, I'm like, okay, you can end now. The piano's cool, but I'm trying to kill things and such, not, you know, view an artistic scenery. I will say, the outro does help the fittingness score quite well. Like I said, hearing the outro makes me do think of a beautiful mountain scenery, sunlight shining through the jungle, and other beautiful scenes that are found in Shangri-La. And the song itself, talking about pareidolia, does fit the idea of insanity that is ever present in this time-traveling temple. We are literally fighting zombies in a fictitious Middle-earth time-traveling temple, so, you know, we have to have a little bit of insanity in our themes, and this song does show that well. I don't think it does it perfectly, to be honest, but it does it very well, yeah, admittedly. Finally, for lore, it just gets a 2. Well, you could argue the feeling of insanity deals with the story of Brock and Gary and their endless cycle on the map. It's a weak argument, though, because the song isn't about insanity. It's not called insanity. It just gives feelings of insanity. Pareidolia means, in short, seeing faces where there are none, usually in objects, but could also be animals or other non-human things. It doesn't really apply to the lore of this map in any reasonable way, unless you know, equate it to the similarity with the ideas of insanity. And the rest of the lyrics have to do with, you know, I am zombie, I will kill you, which is covered plenty of times before the other Black Ops 1 Easter egg songs, like Abracadavre, and even the World at War ones like Beauty of Annihilation. Still, you know, far from a bad song, and almost worthy of an A tier.
Oh, did I pass out? Must not have been drunk enough.
Nightmare. Moon. Catchiness, 20 out of 20. Fittingness, 3 out of 6. Lore significance, 3 out of 4. Overall, 26 out of 30, A tier. Well, well, well. Here we are, the last song. Nightmare is a very interesting song in both its placement and the song itself. You may have already noticed that it gets a 20 out of 20, and I will admit, I'm slightly biased with this one. Nightmare is my favorite Avenged Sevenfold song. So of course I have to put it at the very top score-wise. It's an amazing song, has amazing sound effects, ambience, and just overall musically wonderful to listen to in both repeated playing and in just a theatrical way. However, even though this is my favorite song by them, I have to be fair. So, I gave only a 3 out of 6 in fittingness. Yes, the way you activate it is a nightmare scenario in and of itself if you don't know, but the fittingness score is for the map itself, not the circumstances of its activation. Saying that, I will acknowledge that being on the moon itself is a nightmare scenario, and many point to the idea that after the moon Easter egg, our characters are quote-unquote stuck on the moon. And if that were true, then yes, Nightmare would be a very fitting song, as that is truly a nightmare scenario. However, they aren't. They can travel back and forth between Area 51 and the moon as many times as they wish to. In fact, this very inter-astral body travel is the reason classified as a map can exist. So yes, Nightmare fits, but not incredibly well, hence the 3 out of 6. Now, lore significance, I actually want to give it a 3 out of 4. Yes, the song wasn't made intentionally for the purposes of giving lore out, but it still does so unintentionally very well. In this map, our characters are betrayed not once, but twice. Their planet is destroyed and they are left completely stranded. This truly is a nightmare scenario, and the song really emphasizes how our characters must be feeling. This is a nightmare. That said, I have to say that this reasoning might sound contradictory with the 3 out of 6 score and fittingness. So I'll say this here and now. I don't know how to score the fittingness and lore significance scores for this song. But I do know that I want the total between them to be 6 for this song. These two categories often go hand in hand if you haven't noticed already throughout the entirety of this video. It is lore heavy because their scenario is a nightmare, but it is also fitting because the map and the events that occur are a total nightmare. So they really do need to be paired together. So whether it's a 5 and a 1, 2 and a 4, or in this case a 3 out of 3, the total score still stands, and really I see it more as a 6 out of 10. 26 out of 30 in total, A tier. Oh, and I should say, I was originally going to give a bonus point for this song because the way you activate it is actually very unique. You have to do an unconventional side quest that also gives you an achievement, and to briefly describe it, you have to have both excavators down, one for Tunnel 6, the other for Tunnel 11, and go back to Area 51, back to the moon, so you're in the spawn, and then you have to kill yourself and have someone end the round, so you come back, and boom, now you're effectively trapped in the spawn area, with, some exceptions. And, Nightmare will start playing. In my opinion, the real nightmare, however, out of all this is having to constantly deal with your controller constantly rumbling at full power from both excavators running if you're playing on console. But anyways, I did end up taking this bonus point away because at the end of the day, they did just use another Avenged Sevenfold song just because they could. And while it's cool, it was unnecessary and a little tacky in my opinion, especially because this then overshadows the actual Easter egg of the song coming home a little bit. And also, the activation is a little annoying. You have to wait for both Tunnel 6 and Tunnel 11 to go down, and then you also have to die and come back, meaning you can't do this on solo. It's more annoying than it's worth. Surprise, bitches! Damned! All versions. Catchiness, 17 out of 20. Fittingness, 6 out of 6. Lore significance, 0 out of 4. Bonus points, fucking 5. Overall, 28 out of 30. S tier. Surprise! I know I said I wouldn't mention it because it's not an activated Easter egg song, but this is my video, and how could I not talk about this song in a Call of Duty Zombies music video? I mean, come on. In my opinion, this song is a 17 out of 20, like I said, and I'm ranking against best versions. And in my opinion, Black Ops 4's version and the OG Black Ops 1 versions are the best and most iconic. This song is catchy and, like I said, iconic as hell. I could listen to it on repeat for hours, just chilling, as it is so simple yet so fun to listen to. I love hearing the chilling piano mixed with creepy sound effects, and even later on towards Black Ops 4 and Cold War, mixing it with the bass beats and techno. The song is so easily malleable, and I mean that in the best way possible. Because it's so malleable, it doesn't get old that fast, and I could listen to it whenever I'm studying or editing for this video. But again, it isn't perfect. It got a 17, and I think this score, 17, fits the song perfectly. It's, you know, not a perfect song, but it's really good. Passing over to lore, I mean, you know, what can I say? It's an instrumental song used for main menus almost exclusively, and there's no lore to be found here. But ignoring the lore, the fittingness score goes crazy, since this song fits everywhere. I mean, I asked if this song fits the zombies mode as a whole to myself, and, you know, duh. I mean, I said it once previously in this video, but the #1 song that people think of when they think of COD Zombies is Damned. And this isn't just because of the main menu music for the mode. The song does some very cool things to help boost the creepy vibe and helpless feeling you get from listening to it. Now, firstly, getting into this feeling, in case you didn't know, this song actually samples from the Halloween theme, which already gives you that unsettling feeling and a very cold familiarity. But it builds off of this by subverting expectations to make an even catchier song. And then it subverts your expectation again by throwing in growling, techno beats, zombie noises, and anything else it can throw at you to really emphasize the chaos and insanity that this mode offers. It truly is the zombies theme. Now, before closing off this final song, I obviously have to acknowledge the absolutely insane bonus point score. Why does Damned get 5 bonus points? Well, it's simple. There are 5 games that use Damned, and these 5 games have at least one unique version of Damned within them. Now, I know I'm refusing to acknowledge Vanguard or Modern Warfare 3, as stated in the beginning. I'm only doing World at War to Cold War, so please respect that decision. But since Black Ops 1, every single Treyarch Zombies mode has a version of Damned. So, in honor of all of these games, Black Ops 1 to Cold War, I give a bonus point, landing this song exactly where it deserves, S tier. Also, if you want to be nitpicky, it technically is an Easter egg song, I'm just saying. There just isn't a activation for it. Not Ready to Die samples Damned, and so does Abracadavre. But, you know, ignoring sampling, the song also appears in Kino and 5, if you didn't know, as ambient noise. If there's literally no noise going on in the map, zombies, guns, players, etc., then Damned can actually be heard quietly playing in the background. And you know what? That sure sounds like an Easter egg to me. Well, here we are. It's been quite the journey. I honestly never thought that I would reach the end of this. If you want a little behind the scenes, this song has been a little over 2 years of on and off work to make. Honestly, it might be longer than that because I made this tier list ages ago. I always wanted to dedicate more time to this, but I just never had the opportunity to until fairly recently. And you know what? Even if no one watches this, especially not all the way through, I'll still be proud to say that I made this. But if you did watch this all the way through or put me on as background noise, I thank you so much for watching and or listening. I want to give thanks to the Call of Duty Wiki for providing a lot of the fun facts, trivia that I used for this video. I want to thank Brian Toohey, Kevin Sherwood, and everyone else at Treyarch Sound for making this wonderful music, as no matter what I said about all of these songs, yes, even I am the well, the songs are incredible and memorable pieces of music that will be remembered and cherished for years to come. I also want to thank all of the other artists, you know, Johnny Cash, even though he's gone, Avenged Sevenfold, and all of the other guest stars. I also, of course, want to thank my wife for always supporting me, even when I'm doing stuff like making videos for fun. And I want to thank you, whoever is listening. I've always wanted to make videos, and even though it has been years since I last uploaded anything consistently, and my uploads were cringy anyways, I thank you so much for even clicking on this. Please let me know what type of videos you want to see going forward. I have more ideas of zombies-related content, but honestly, I just like ranking things or talking about things, Wendigoon style. Not even zombies, just anything in general. So, if you want me to cover anything, I'll cover just about anything. Please comment it down below. I have a lot of things in the work, so I'm hoping to have things out in a reasonable time, but I'm a busy man, so we'll see what the future holds. I love doing research, though, so I'll be back to make some more objective research pieces. But even if you don't have an opinion on anything that you want to see made, please comment. I'd love to talk to all of you. And with that, I'll see you next time, whenever next time is.